process.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to begin this evening's board meeting. The school board meeting of April 27th, 2021 is now called to order. The time is 6:01 p.m. We would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential and the district vision to be a world-class school system. This evening's agendas include the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance, public comments, consent action items, which include 3 items under board office, 3 items under executive services, 8 items under academic services, 3 items under business services, 2 items under human resource, 1 item under information systems, 11 items under operations, 1 item under unfinished business, table items, 1 item under public hearings, and 4 items under other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Ms. Vaughn?
I move to adopt the agenda.
Thank you. And second,
I'll
please?
second that.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. And please record your vote. Ms. Thomas, I can't see. The screens are not on.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Ms. Fisher will introduce her guests for the invocation, after which Ms. Giovanelli will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Fisher, please introduce your guest.
Yes. This evening we have with us Dennis Gingrich. Born and raised in Oregon, Dennis moved to Cape Coral in 1986 and is the founding pastor of Cape Christian Fellowship. Started with the assistance of 2 other couples, Cape Christian has grown to 3,000 weekly attenders on a 14-acre campus that includes a popular park for families of Cape Coral to enjoy. Dennis has served as the lead chaplain for the Cape Coral Police Department since 1996. He loves the opportunity to serve those who generously give and sacrifice themselves for the well-being and safety of our community. Dennis has been married to his wife, Linda, for over 46 years. They are the parents of 3 adult married children who all went through the Lee County school system. They have 5 grandchildren, 2 of whom are students at Fort Myers High School and Orangewood Elementary. For relaxation, Dennis enjoys nature photography. His award-winning photos of Southwest Florida naturescapes can often be found on the cover of local Chamber of Commerce visitor guide magazines, Lee County tourism websites, promotional advertisements, and for the city of Cape Coral on a line of greeting cards in 3 area stores. Please welcome Pastor Gingrich.
Thank you. I invite you to stand. Lord, we pause this evening to give thanks. Thanks for your blessings, the blessings of a safe and free nation, the blessings of a beautiful community to live in, the blessings of children and youth and teachers, administrators, and this board of the Lee County School District. And Lord, I thank you for the passion that Dr. Adkins and this board has for their role in leadership in providing a safe environment for learning of our children. Lord, I ask that you would give them supernatural wisdom and discernment and guidance for their monumental task that you've entrusted to them. And Lord, may they always remember their calling to lead with listening, integrity, and humility, and yet with boldness and clarity. And Lord, we are grateful for all of the passionate parents of students, community members who've weighed in on their interests of the well-being of our students and our community. We ask your blessing on them. And we ask your blessing on all of us in our community and in this room to always act with relational maturity, because we know that mature people can disagree without being disagreeable, can learn to have unity without uniformity, and can walk hand in hand without seeing eye to eye. And I pray that you would help all of us, each and every one of us, to listen without defending and to speak without offending. And may we adults always leave a legacy for our children, where we are remembered more for the song of our hearts and less by the screech of our lives. So Lord, give us your strength, your peace, your presence, your guidance today and always. In your most holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Gingrich.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Mr. Pri Bruno, please address the public comments.
just a little technical difficulty. 1 minute.
School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. If you completed a blue card, please put it in the basket provided at the back of the room. If you need a blue card, they are located in the hallway outside of the boardroom. The rules concerning public comment are posted at the back. Public comment will be made from the central microphone in the back. Please be advised that the board does not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. At the end of the public comment period, the board chair, Ms. Jordan, will address concerns or the assignment of any concerns or requests to the superintendent. Board Policy 1.81 is in effect and requires everyone to wear a mask on school board property. Speakers and those attending the meeting are expected to act in a respectful manner. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback. Personal attacks on individuals or abusive language are prohibited. In addition, clapping, hissing, booing, unreasonably loud and/or offensive language, swearing, cursing, or display of temper are prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per Board Policy 1.11 and may be removed from the chambers. There will only be one warning. Per Board Policy 1.11, since we have over 31 speakers, it will be 1 minute per speaker, with a maximum of 1 hour. You will find a countdown on the big screen in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. We encourage you to address the board as a whole versus individual board members as they act as a collective board. Please state your name prior to making your comment. I will call you 5 names, 5 speakers at a time. Please follow staff's direction when lining up. Madam Chair, there are 39 speakers that wish to address the board this evening.
Thank you. Before calling on the blue, before calling for public comments, is there anyone on, because we have 60 minutes, so I want to make sure if there's anyone here on the left side that wishes to speak and has not filled out a card, please raise your hand. Is there anyone on the right side who has not filled out a card that wishes to speak? And do we have anybody in the other room that is here that wishes to speak?
Yes, thank you.
Can someone check on the people in the room and let me know? I'm sorry, just please bear with me. I just want to make sure that if there's people back there that wishes to speak, that they're heard. Dr. Savage, is there anyone, can you please look to see if there's anyone out there that wishes to speak that's in the other room? No? Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Dupree-Bruno, would you please go ahead and...
Thank you, Madam Chair. Will the following please line up? Prodigio, Corey Dye, Daniela Dye, Christine DiVigili, Robert Roper. Mr. Prodigio, Corey Dye, Daniela Dye, Christine DiVigili, Robert Roper. Sir, you can come stand in front of the microphone and begin. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Robert Roper. In 1992, a big scandal broke. Woody Allen, who'd been in a relationship with Mia Farrow for 12 years, broke up with her and entered into a relationship with her daughter. When asked about it, he said, "The heart wants what it wants." Can we just pause for a minute and address the elephant in the room? That is the plus, an LGBTQ plus. What does the plus basically stand for? Anything and everything that's not enumerated in the letters LGBTQ. For example, minor attracted people, once known as pedophiles, fall under the plus. No less than 122 gender variations fall under the plus, many of which do not get along. I would like to add a B for biblical relationships. One man, one woman, married for life. These folks are not going to get along very well in the designated safe space.
My name is
Go a little bit in front of the microphone.
Hi, my name is Prodigio, and I was in Skyline Elementary, but now I'm homeschooled because you guys made it a policy that we have to wear masks. We spoke to our doctors, and they told us that a mask would be bad for our health. I had a really good vice principal. Her name was Miss Gergel. I think that she should have her own school. I also think that you guys need to communicate better with each other. My brothers and I communicate better than you guys. I know that you guys communicate bad because I've seen and been at most of the meetings with my parents. Not that you guys can see me because I'm in a different room called the timeout room.
Apparently we're not doing good at homeschool. Corey Dye, let's start by stating the public isn't confused by what this code of conduct says. Collectively, we can read it and we can't all be wrong. Not to mention how it got there. Nobody wants to talk about how it got there. We know how it got there. There's only one board member that only shows up when she's pushing her agenda, and she also sits on the board of Equity Florida. Ironic. Nobody else knows, but she knows everything. This private PAC. On the superintendent, I'm happy to hear that you guys want to make selective changes and you want to take charge instead of giving it to somebody else. But now you want to hire somebody to do what we elected you guys to do. How about you go back to the state standard and voters pick the superintendent and not you guys, because obviously you can't do it. Patrika doesn't trust any of you to do your jobs. And if I can't trust her, I can't trust the rest of you guys. So all of you need to go or give it back to the voters.
Will the following individuals line up? Angie Nichols, Jennifer Stacer, Linda Milligan, Jim Dozier, Debbie Objartel.
May I start?
Yes.
My name is Daniela Dye, and giving a minute, we have to really kind of narrow it down to bullet points. So, Ms. Gittens, I'm glad you got your lighthouse back, and I'm glad you continue to represent us and speak for the people. Ms. Morgan, I'm glad you spoke up for us today as well and did not let it die. You guys kept on it, and I appreciate that very much. The code of conduct went from 3 to 5 points of disciplinary action, and that needs to be reevaluated. The way we put those into the columns is extremely disproportionate. As much as that word keeps coming up, it's not fair. We're supposed to be getting these kids ready for college, but not everybody in life goes to college. We actually just need to get them ready for the real world. And we, in the real world, have growth from adversity. We need to teach them how to actually grow from the adversities that they're going to have. In the display that came up for the education, we didn't include any of the people that were homeschooled and how they were performing, or how many people actually pulled their kids from homeschool. You had 61 speakers because Ms. Fisher's great-great-granddaughter or whomever had her words written and reviewed. We need to remove the policy limiting the speakers and policy 1.181 and have the people select a...
You, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is General Jim Dozier. I'm here to do two things tonight. First, to tell Dr. Atkins how much our community has valued and appreciated his service. And secondly, to recommend to the board that we conduct a nationwide search for her successor. Dr. Atkins, by any measurement, you've been the best superintendent our public school system has had during my nearly 36 years in Lee County. As an admirer of your steadfastness during some difficult times, I and the rest of our community wish you Godspeed in your new endeavors. You leave a truly invaluable legacy, a legacy of which you must be very proud. Well done, Dr. Atkins. And secondly, I strongly urge members of the school board to not settle for anyone but the most highly qualified person to be Dr. Atkins.
Thank you.
And lastly, please remember your decision.
Thank you, Mr. Dozier.
Of our nation's most valuable resource, our children.
What's that?
Thank you. Christine DiVigili. According to OSHA, the use of a workplace respirator or mask requires medical consent and medical clearance. None of the students in Florida schools received medical clearance before being required to wear deoxygenating, hypercapnia-inducing apparatuses that are largely unregulated and without efficacy standards for the pathogen at hand. Masks come with grave microbial inhalation issues, as most are wearing them in unsterile environments like public restrooms, dropping them on the floor, putting them on tables, in their pockets, then back on their faces. Kids sneeze in them, and then they proceed to breathe all of that in for 8 to 12 hours a day. Medical consent belongs in all conversations. Not only are exemptions being denied in the public school setting without much recourse, but truly immunocompromised children are forced into compliance with these ridiculous one-size-fits-all masking policies. And it is putting the lives of our truly vulnerable in undue risk when there are far better options available. I urge you to rescind this policy immediately.
Almost as inappropriate as Mary Fisher's granddaughter having more time on the microphone than me at the last meeting is your inappropriate policy forbidding teachers from expressing their religious views while encouraging them with posters to express their sexuality in the classroom. It's just an added insult that you put these posters in when you forbid us from going to the classroom. You passed a muzzle mandate taking away parental freedom of medical choice, and then you empower our children to deny their gender and go behind our backs by denying us the right to know about their gender. We know that these children who are having gender dysmorphia issues struggle with depression and suicide. We're their first line of defense. How can we help our children's mental health when we don't know what's going on? Doctors know kids cannot drink because they're too young to understand the consequences, and you're letting them play creator by choosing a gender. It's unacceptable.
Thank you, ma'am. Can you please state your name?
Angie Nichols, and I pulled all 3 of my boys out of the district because you can't help them.
Thank you, ma'am. Will the following individuals please line up? Debbie Obdratel, Michael Peters, Greg Tomczak, Ryan Stafford, Linda Brown, Charlie Edwards.
My name is Jennifer Stacer. I'm here to talk about safety violations. Would a child be allowed to bring a gun onto a school campus if he promises not to hurt anyone with it? No. Just having the gun on campus is a safety violation. So why are we talking about putting little boys in little girls' bathrooms? Because the potential for rape in that environment is so high, that is a safety violation. I know some parents are saying this is an equality issue. I'm sorry, I disagree with that. I would prefer that we stop referring to this as a gender identity issue and let's call it what it really is, a gender, physical, safety issue. Would you please protect these kids so they can just focus on reading, writing, math, science, which is all they should worry about at this stage of their life? Thank you.
Michael Peters. We opened with a prayer honoring our Lord and Savior. Our Bible tells us that he created all things and us in his image. Our Bible tells us that he created man and woman. Our God, I would advocate, as my mother, her mother, and even her mother all believed, that God doesn't make mistakes. Equality Florida and many leftists tell us we need to trust science. Biology is a science. In humans, men have X and Y chromosomes. Women have 2 X chromosomes. Even the IOC has used this science to determine the proper sex of Olympic competitors for the last 40+ years. Lee schools should not assist in the destruction of Title IX and women's sports.
My name is Linda Milligan. As I stand here this evening, I have mixed emotions about vocalizing my feelings because a part of me thinks you only listen because you are required by law. It feels like you are only going through the motions, but there is still hope inside of me that you will hear the outcry of the people, the 96% of the population, the 96% of the population, the majority of the people who do not want you involved in setting our families' values, who do not want you talking to our children about their sexuality when we feel those are family issues. If the LGBTQ kids are being bullied, remove the bullies. Don't get involved in my family. Don't decide what my children should think. Don't teach them values I do not agree with. That's not your job. Please.
Thank you, ma'am.
This might be too short. Huh?
You can adjust it.
Oh, I think this is good. Can Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. My name is Deborah Objartle. We have just declared together the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And I highlight that we stated and we pledged one nation under God. Our foundation, which helped build our Constitution, a foundation and a nation built on the Word of God so a nation could govern oneself. We have slowly gotten away from this foundation. How would you like a contractor to show up to build your home without a design or a plan? What kind of foundation would be laid if he just did what he felt like doing without following the master plan? How would it hold up under a storm? If we don't build a foundation of truth for our children, we are not preparing them for life's storms. We need to go back to the master plan, and it works. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Linda Brown. Just wanted to make a couple of quick points here. I've been married 27 years, and when I go into the bathroom, I shut it and I lock the door. And I wouldn't even want my husband to come in while I'm in the bathroom. I definitely want my privacy, and I would be very uncomfortable with that. So the idea of, mixing genders in the bathroom, I don't agree with. I looked at this right before I came in, so I don't have a lot of information, but just real quickly, it was a Mick Martin preschool case back in the 1980s. And basically, to make a long story short, the police interviewed the kids, and they didn't interview them correctly because they're not health professionals, and they were able to coerce 200 kids to believe that they were sexually abused when they actually weren't. So my point is, in no such way do I ever believe that teachers with just a little workshop that you may have would ever have the 7.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Greg Tomzak. I work with Come As You Are Ministries, feeding the homeless and Safe Families, taking care of broken children from broken families. You are bringing in more rules and laws into this situation that are causing more chaos for these children who are already tormented. The amount of drugs and sexual activities that go on in the schools is overwhelming. There's police bringing dogs in to smell the lockers and check everywhere, trying to control the drugs. You're opening a door now, bringing in LGBT to have their own specialty rights and all this. As far as the LGBT's been around for over 4,000 years without needing a special bathroom. We cannot be distorting these kids' memories and their minds to be thinking irrelevantly. The drinking age is 21 for a reason. Driving a car is 16 for a reason, because they're not mature adults yet to make proper decisions. Parents have to protect their children and guide them.
Thank you, sir. Will the following individuals please line up? Mary Firestone, Eli Sanchez, Brenda Burnell, Lynn Osso, Tyler Stowell.
I'm Charlie Edwards. Whatever the board decides will be the model that provides our children with a lifelong morality and belief system. The Code of Conduct requires students to use non-gender verbiage. Then bullying is a Class 2 offense. What that means is a boy calling another boy a boy is guilty of bullying and is required to be punished under that offense. The question was asked, what is the punishment and who's responsible for that punishment? A person with an agenda will punish differently than a person with a different set of moral values. Please, board, require very specific punishments for specific levels of offense to be written into the code, and include specific punishments for the adults responsible for punishing if they exceed the limitations that are spelled out. Please be very careful about the wording written by people with an agenda. Respecting the morals of our country we're established under must not be overrun by calling for respect for different agendas. We must intelligently combine them. I'm going to be praying for your wisdom, because it's a tough situation and a tough question to answer.
Hello,
My name is Ryan Stafford. I'm here to bring up the topic/issue of public school tracts not having community access hours, even though they are funded by public tax dollars. I currently have a petition on change.org with over 1,000 signatures just from this weekend. Under your mission statement, under the department that pays for it, the maintenance department, you say you want to operate and maintain a safe and functional environment for students, staff, and the community. Currently, the community has no access to the tracks. There's counties all over the United States of America and all over Florida that have access to their local tracks, and Lee County is not one of them. There's kids running in the streets, high school, middle school, and elementary schools, like kids like Ethan, being forced to run in the streets in backside neighborhoods because they don't have access to the tracks. They're locked every day, and if you could put that on a future agenda, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
My name is Mary Firestone. I'm a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. I have been in nursing for over 30 years, and I've taught nursing students. I've worked with children in many, many areas, and I love them so much. Genesis 1:27 states that God created mankind in his image. In his image, he created male and female. Transgender ideology is anti-scientific. It's impossible to change your gender. Medical science has been founded and proved. It is the truth. We love the transgender people. We love the people, and God loves them more than we could ever love them. But we cannot perpetuate a lie. If you destroy the male-female distinctions, you will make slaves and dehumanize our culture.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Eli Sanchez. I am 12 years old and I attend 6th grade in a public school through Home Connect. While attending elementary school, I noticed that Christian children have been underestimated and bullied. Some teachers and students dislike us for praying for our food, for reading the Bible, and for mentioning the name of Jesus. That is why I want to propose a month of celebration and respect for Christianity. Just as some of you support baseless movements like the LGBTQ movement, it is fair that you support Christians, not only support those who fulfill your own interests. We need to create a safe place for Christian students. Thank you.
No clapping, please.
Gloria a Dios, aleluya. Mi nombre es Brenda Bernal y voy a tratar de traducir lo que mi hijo dijo. Ustedes están hablando desde ayer acerca de un lugar seguro para ciertos estudiantes, porque sufren bullying, porque son despreciados o por sus ideologías. Quiero que sepan que no solo ellos sufren bullying, cristianos sufren bullying, sufren regaños de las maestras por no poder expresar su fe. Yo quiero proponer un mes de celebración y de respeto al cristianismo. Eso sería lo justo. Si ustedes quieren que respetemos a esas personas, respeten a los cristianos también. Delante de Dios es lo justo para nosotros. ¿Quieren un safe place para estudiantes? Necesitan recibir al único que da salvación, Jesucristo.
Will the following individuals please come to the microphone? Marvin Goetz, Marsha McCombie, Lorena Gomez, Sierra Simon, Dick Kennedy.
Hi, my name's Lynn Osso. I'm here representing Our Father's Heart. Every one of these children are so important, and how this situation is handled is of great importance to everyone. The Word of God says in Matthew 18:16, "But whosoever causes one of these little children who believes in me to stumble, it would be better for him that have a heavy millstone should hung around his neck and be sunk to the depth of the sea." In Proverbs 9:10, it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." What happens in the school system, what is happening in the school system today? Is this agenda causing our children to stumble? Is it protecting us, our children? Is it protecting our children? I believe not. As a child, I was put in a situation where I was raped. I believe our children will be put in a very dangerous situation. Thank you.
My name is Tyler Stowell. In 2010, I started coaching here in Lee County because I was inspired by someone who showed me the impact you can have just simply by caring and being held accountable. At 21, I was awarded the County Boys High School Coach of the Year. At 24, I founded ERYRC to give back to the youth of Lee County for kids ages 8 to 15. I've coached kids after they didn't make their 6th grade track team to be national qualifiers within 2 years. I've coached county, state, and national champions. In December of 2017, I had an athlete go into cardiac arrest on the sidewalk of McGregor over 1.5 miles from our parking spot because we could not access a public track and be centralized. Over 7 years, I have founded ERYRC. I've never cared much about my athletes winning a race. I've cared about their safety and building them into future leaders while maintaining a healthy lifestyle and holding them accountable. We're looking for the public schools to open their tracks to the public with limited hours after schools. An e-sign liability waiver can be placed online with community hours. The hours can be daylight time, so lights are not needed. An example high school of Cypress Lake has an east gate that can be left unlocked and accessed.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Marvin Getz. I'm the head of the substitute teachers for Lee County School District. I'm here to sort of place blame on the entire board. Every day we have absent teachers, up to 400 every day. We have no coverage for it. That means that our kids are sent to separate classes, or they're divided up, or we have to find some available teacher to cover or teacher aides. Those children are not learning. That's your fault, because I've been here before to try and get you to recognize the role of the substitute teacher and what needs to be done to correct that situation. How are we going to account for those kids who are not learning?
Hi, my name is Marcia McCombie. It's with my hopes that after hearing it myself and the others' talks in regards to opening the tracks at the schools to the public, that we further discuss this topic in the future when it's put on an agenda. I am the founder of Running Friends of Southwest Florida, a local running group that is still around today, and the group was created in 2013. Although I am no longer an organizer in the group, I am still very active amongst the running community. As many people in the running community know, McGregor Boulevard is often utilized by runners for recreational running, along with a lot of the youth that are involved in track. Back in February 2020, a man exposed himself to 2 runners along McGregor Boulevard. After the news article, I never heard any closure in regards to complaints brought forward and reported. However, my safety became a major concern, for I once thought McGregor was one of the safest places to run. Just yesterday, I was down running myself, and I came across the Olmeda neighborhood, where a down telephone pole and a palm tree were hit. A young girl was distracted. And
thank you, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Sierra Simon. I'm the senior class vice president at North Mars High School. I was here last night and heard a lot of people referring to cis girls who may be uncomfortable with trans girls in the bathroom. I'm here to say that I am a cis girl. I've been in the Lee County School District since kindergarten, and I want my transgender peers to have the same luxury as I do to choose the bathroom that they identify with and feel comfortable in. The Suicide Prevention Resource Center found that students in the LGBT community are 1.5 to 3 times more likely to commit suicide than their heterosexual students. LGBTQ students need to be supported and respected, just like the rest of us. So I would like to thank the school board for implementing this policy and these resources and taking a step towards these students being given the same level of understanding and encouragement we all receive. I plead with you all to not dismiss someone because you don't understand them, but to take the time to put yourself or your child in their shoes. If you identified in this group, how would you want them to be treated? Another thing I heard a lot last night was not to listen to the minority, and they're referring to the LGBTQ community. I'm here to attest that the supporters of
Thank you. Will the following individuals please line up? Jennifer Bouchard Hall, Rachel Doyer, Eve Olson, Tara Jenner, Heather Boyle.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Dick Kennedy. I'm a retired Lee County vocational teacher and a Vietnam vet. I just wanted to offer a bit of a historical perspective, if I could. I graduated in 1962, and that was the last year that religion and the Bible could officially be taught in the public school system. 1964 to 1965 was the Vietnam era, in which GIs returned. They were made fun of, spit on, etc., plus flags were openly burned. The draft was in 1973, which hurt the American spirit. Americanism versus communism was then taught after the Cuban standoff and the Bay of Pigs affair. The class was closed officially in the 80s. Discipline has declined since the aforementioned has taken place, and now increasingly harmful events have taken place, which have little to do with education and everything to do with social engineering. The usage of same-sex and transgender bathrooms are now being considered. It seems both sexes would be uncomfortable with this arrangement, and parents would certainly be disturbed. I predict if this happens with the bathrooms.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lorena. The last sentence on the Pledge of Allegiance, it says, with liberty and justice for all. It's not what you guys are saying with the LGBT bathrooms in school. It's not fair. It's not fair for Christian teachers, principals, staff members to participate and submit themselves to these events or ideas that you're going to make. I encourage teachers, staff, principals to not deny your faith. Stand up for what you believe. Not because of your job, your money. Stand up. You are making teachers denying their faith. Believe it or not, you are. You are causing divisions in families, feelings, the feelings of their kids. You are stealing their faith. Repent. Jesus is coming soon.
Hello, Rachel Dwyer, mother of two. It is important that we have a school board primarily focused on academics, so I look forward to hearing what's going to replace Common Core. Also, it is imperative that local citizens be able to vote in and have a voice regarding the next elected superintendent. With regard to this track issue, we should let our kids run on the tracks that tax dollars pay for if they would rather be out exercising than sitting on a device. Thank you.
Will the following individuals please line up? Heather Boyle, Ramey Hall, Jared Longshore, James Simeone, thank you, Stephen Stoddard, and Greg Allard.
Tara Jenner. Last night there were 60+ people in the no mask timeout room, as we call it. More in the lobby and outside overflow area. Without cameras, the board, the auditorium, and video audience didn't even know we existed. Being seen, even if not speaking because of the limited number of people allowed, is a form of public participation, which is part of our rights to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. I have to wonder, by the way, what would happen if I identified as a healthy, non-contagious individual and sat in the auditorium after speaking without a mask? Would I get the same consideration as being pushed by the LGBTQ+ community? At least with mask usage, it's science, and with the other it is set, and you would also know who and exactly what I was. Please make masks optional in all of the...
Thank you.
Jennifer Bouchard Hall. I am a veteran. I am a mental health therapist. I'm a licensed social worker. And most importantly, I am a mother of two who should be in school, but they are not. My oldest is vaccine injured, and she is vaccine injured with the vaccines that are required to go to school. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I vaccinated my kid, and she got hurt. It took years to heal her. And then COVID comes along, and now we are requiring masks. My child is not able to wear a mask, and therefore is not allowed in your building, and that is not okay.
I have worked for years to get my kid healthy. I pay attention to my child's health. Medical should not be in the hands of a school board or government. My medical freedom to mask or not mask my child should be my choice.
Thank you.
Heather Boyle. I'm a parent to 4 school-aged children who, due to your unfair PPE policy, are either homeschooled or participating in the Home Connect program. With the announcement that the Home Connect program will be discontinued with the upcoming school year, I'm here to implore you, our elected officials, to review and adjust the mask mandate by making them voluntary for all students. On Wednesday, April 14th, the Florida Education Commissioner, Richard Corcoran, has asked school superintendents to revise their district's mask policies and make them voluntary. Governor DeSantis recently had a roundtable with medical and health officials where Dr. Scott Atlas referenced a Denmark study showing that there is a small, if any, benefit on mask wearing. Mr. Gupta, an epidemiologist, has also stated in terms of masking children, it seems absolutely obvious that it's psychologically deeply damaging. I do not want to stand here tonight and recite all the numerous studies and facts to the detriment and ineffectiveness of masking. However, I would gladly welcome a sit down with any and all of you regarding these. Tonight, I instead ask you to please rely on.
Thank you.
Hi, Rami Hall. I'm here tonight because policy is important to me. It's so important to me that I'm earning my PhD in it. Policy 1.113C states that only formal actions will be taken in action meetings or hearings. Today, this board took many formal actions void of public comment, depriving us of our voice. You violated your own policy, and I ask you tonight, please go back and rescind everything that was done today because you did not have public comment. Last night it was mentioned that maybe there should be a panel formed in Lee County with transgender students. If you do that, could you form one with evangelical kids, Muslim kids, autistic kids, blind kids, deaf kids? Maybe everybody should have a voice. And quickly, during your last board meeting, Ms. Patrica left but voted on the phone. That messes with your integrity of the vote. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Jared Longshore. I'm married with 7 children, longtime Lee County citizen, graduate of Florida Gulf Coast University with degrees in education, both me and my wife, and pastor of Grace Baptist Church in Cape Coral, Florida. There's been a lot of talk about the bathroom policy and the poster, but I'd like to address the training that you all received, a private training on January 22nd, 2021. Just recently, it's very important. This PowerPoint came out, I think it's like 61 slides. It was the LGBTQ competency and awareness training that you received. It advocated for gender identity and expression. That is, it actually said it's a good thing to have students identify a gender contrary to their biological sex and then express that gender. You were actually trained in that. I'm requesting that you report your opinion on that so the citizens of Lee County can know where Lee County Schools stands. Is that a good thing for children or is it not? It also advocated for Kimberly Crenshaw's intersectionality as a way to approach positive social change. That is a way of injustice and inequity, and I ask you to...
Thank you.
My name is Eve Olson. I'm here because I'm appalled as a parent and a voter in Lee County, and I'm calling on you to repeal this transgender policy that you passed behind our backs. If an adult knows the scientific facts and the risks, and they want to defy their God-given gender and go through sex change operations to change how that appear, that is on them. That is their free choice. God has given us free choice to sin. He's given us free choice. But God help those that cause these little children and teenagers to be indoctrinated into gender dysphoria. I watched yesterday as these poor kids and their parents, they have gender dysphoria. They need help. Something happened to them that they don't want to deal with their actual gender. We should be getting help for them. We should not be enabling their delusion.
Thank you. Will the following individuals please line up?
Yes, my name is Jimmy Simeone.
Just one
to be
second.
honest, I was a little nervous to get up and talk.
Just 1 second. Just 1 second, please. Will Jacqueline Perez Heather Newbert, Daryl Slack, Melissa Hatter, Diana Ospina, Carmen Rodriguez, and Don Allard. Please line up. Thank you, Mr. Simeone.
Simeone. I could wait for the thing. Yeah, I was a little nervous to get up and speak at first, but there are many Christians here and everybody's getting up and speaking biblically. That's what God wants. That makes God so happy that you keep that in your household. Whatever's being taught in these schools should never come into your household. That's your job. You never stop doing that. And there are many Christians here, and right now we're giving thanks. But let's give thanksgiving. How do we give thanksgiving? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. How long did that take? That didn't take any time at all. Do we thank our Creator enough? Do we thank Him? Should we drop to our knees, repent? Is there a need for revival? Does it need to start right now, right here with us? Praise God.
Hi, my name is Craig Aller Jr., and I run for a competitive track team, and I think that everyone should have, or the community should have access to tracks, because we have young kids on our track team that, you know, could get hit by cars, can get severely injured, and if we have a track team, they won't have any, they won't get hit by a car at all. And one day I was running, on your own run, and a car almost hit me twice, and I think that we should have access to tracks because it'll be safer for all kids. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Heather Newbert. A few weeks ago, my husband was picking up my daughter from school for a headache, and she needed to quarantine for 10 days. And when he went to pick her up, he found this poster posted at our school. Sent me a picture. I struggled with whether I should post it or not. Didn't want to be called a bigot. I didn't want to be called hateful. I went ahead and posted it, and here we are. So I'm glad I posted it. I'm glad we're out here now supporting our children. We need to keep doing it. Shame on us for just blindly following and allowing you guys to do work that does not at all relay what we believe and what we want. We are the reddest county in the state, if not the nation. This does not follow our beliefs and what we want and how we elected you and what we need you to do for us. What I would like to be brought to the floor is a public vote on who agrees with this poster and yay or nay that, so we know next year who should be out, and then 2 years after that who should be out. We need to know who agrees with this.
Hello, my name is Daryl Slack. I spoke at the April 13th meeting, and I'm back here. I was expecting to address masking tonight, but it sounds like there's a lot on the agenda. I want to stick with accountability. Accountability is important. It's something we teach our kids. I think the board should let parents be accountable for their student, whether or not they decide to wear a mask or go home or stay at home, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, whatever. If a student wants to wear a mask, let them wear it. Nobody's trying to stop that. But it should not be forced upon the children. I think the board should let the parents hold their superintendent accountable, as the parents should be electing a superintendent by the people, not by the board. And parents, I got to talk to you. You need to be more accountable. You need to hold your board accountable by attending these meetings, not just twice a year, by voting in elections, not every 4 years, but every 2 years. If you have conservative values, we have conservative values, conservative leadership at the top of this country, or this state rather, and we can have it at the lower level too. Just pay attention to who you're voting for. I'll be running next year. Remember my name, Gerald Slack.
Good evening. I'm Jacqueline Perez, and there's 7 board members here. Let's start off first. Hopefully one of you will do a motion so you can open up the tracks and make it safe for these children abroad so they don't have any kind of accidents. I watched a Financial Advisory Committee meeting, I believe it was on the 22nd, where the chair, Debbie Jordan, spoke incorrectly about Melissa Hatter. I'd like you all to review that tape and correct the information that was given. I watched the video today about the board meeting, and I couldn't believe that 7 elected officials, an attorney, and staff have to hire a consultant for thousands of dollars so you know who to pick for a superintendent. And last week, that should help you with your decision. I sent you a case of a whistleblower, two employees, one that worked here for over 10 years, who was targeted, retaliated against when she reported theft.
Thank you.
Hello, how are you? My name is Dawn Allard. My son runs on a competitive team here in Fort Myers. His name is Craig Allard Jr. He spoke a little bit ago, and his coach actually spoke a little bit ago as well, and he didn't get to finish, so I'm going to finish for him. We're looking for the public schools to open their tracks to the public with limited hours after school. An assigned liability waiver could be placed online with community hours. The hours could be daylight time, so lights are not needed. An example high school of Cypress Lake has an east gate that can be left unlocked, and access to the school is still locked via other gates. The athlete that our coach spoke earlier that had a medical issue will be a high school senior in a few short months. In 2018, for his Eagle Scout badge, he coordinated the donation of $150,000 for all of Lee County elementary and middle schools to have an AED. He was 14 and was able to make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you.
Will you?
Hi, I'm Melissa Hatter. Ms. Jordan, I will discuss with you when I have more time at the next meeting, hopefully the incorrect statements made at the committee meeting. 2 weeks ago, I asked the board to seek community input regarding moving forward with decisions regarding a superintendent. Today, the exact opposite was done when the board voted 5-2 to have him stay until June 30th, even though he should be suspended and his resignation contingent upon the outcome of the governor's investigation, just as he would suspend employees and has during the course of investigations. I also share with you the court rulings that content restrictive measures taken for public comment is unconstitutional. Specifically, what the Virginia Attorney General's office ruled the no personal attack as unconstitutional. But
thank you.
Good evening, my name is Diana Ospina, and I'm here to talk about the gender-neutral bathrooms. I'm going to list the issues so I don't take as much time, and I'm going to try to list issues that are not related with religious beliefs. Not because I am not, because I am a believer, I believe in Jesus Christ, but I think there's also important to find other reasons so other people don't feel like it's just about that. Number one, safety and lack of privacy for already insecure growing kids. I don't know if you remember being 12, 13, 14, it sucks. It sucks. You don't know what you want, you're embarrassed of your own body. Just imagine going through that and wondering who's going to walk in that bathroom that it does not have the same body parts as you. It's just really nerve-wracking. Second one is safety. Biological and curiosity. You know, biologically we are curious at that age, if you remember that. And the third one is there are other options. There could be other options, like a special request. It's not about just making them feel uncomfortable. I understand your point.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Madam Chair, that concludes public comments.
Thank you. Well, first, I'd like to thank everybody, all of you, for being here today, and those in the back room as well. And I did share some conversation last night with, and I apologize, I think it was Miss Jenner, regarding not being able to be seen. And I know that I've not had an opportunity to speak to anyone regarding that because that was just a conversation that we had last night. And I do understand that being back in that back room, not necessarily, you can see part of it, but the example was you could not see everybody and you couldn't see the audience as well. And hopefully we can find a solution for that, where one day we will come in, everybody will be in this room together. As far as thank all the the kids that came here to speak on whichever topic they were speaking on, because that takes a lot of courage to come here, stand there and speak. Trust me, I feel it sometimes up here. So I do appreciate you, being there and standing and sharing, your thoughts with us, each and every one of you. Dr. Atkins, can you speak on the track? Because I know I do see runners all the time on McGregor running down the street, because I'm always thinking they're running for me because I can't do it. But could you maybe share something, or is there a way that we can do something?
Yeah, what I can do is I can get with our staff in terms of how we share use of the tracks and other facilities with the community. I think in many cases, like we had talked about it with Bonita Springs High School as an example, about how that can be worked on. I understand where they're coming from as it relates to safety, on the track. And, there was a day where tracks were easily accessible to all, but in this day of safety and security, we've fenced in our schools, and it makes it a little bit more difficult. But let me get with our team, and then I'll provide a response to the board in the very near future, if not as soon as our Friday update.
Okay, because I just want to figure out how do we let them know. So we have your information, and I guess we could send that information out to them on what we can do for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let's see what else. Mr. Getz, thank you so much for always being here. We know how important it is for substitute teachers in general. You are the backbone. We need you here. We appreciate everything that you do, and we can't do it without you. So I definitely want to thank you, and thank you for always being here, Sharon.
Madam Chair, just on that item, just so we have a little bit more information in the room. Again, that we continue to do compensation studies on substitutes and continue to do compensation studies on substitutes, and ours, if not the highest, is one of the highest, continues to be one of the highest in the state. The other thing is that I think one of the things that we've done to try to address this problem, as you are aware, is we've opened up our vaccines to our substitute teachers, and so we still strongly encourage that, because I think that was one of the things that had been a deterrent. Is many of our substitutes were concerned about substituting because just concerns about their own safety and welfare. So now that they have that available, again, encourage them to do that. Finally, I do want to thank this board. You have helped our human resources team and open up the avenue for paras to actually go in and help provide substitution in a place where we cannot get a sub. That has made a tremendous difference. And then I think we have talked to you, but just for the community, teachers, substitute teachers, bus operators, just to name a few of the critical need positions. This pandemic has really put a strain on this district as well as other districts in terms of these positions and getting qualified people. Many of our educators are older, and including our bus operators, and I think that there were some concerns that some of them had, and they determined that I no longer want to do this, or I want to retire from the profession, and that's had an impact. But we continue to look for innovative solutions, and we appreciate your all support in that, and I appreciate the work of our Human Resources Division. That's, I think, really looking for all kinds of different ways to try to fill those vacancies. Thank you.
Thank you. And then, Dr. Atkins, if I may, I know we had quite a few people speak on the mask optional, and I know that there was a letter that came out for recommendations for next school year.
Correct.
So can you just regarding policy 1.181?
Right. I did provide the board with a memo recently when Commissioner Corcoran came out with his recommendation regarding the 21-22 school year for us to revise our policy, and that's what I'm recommending at some point. We do need to come back and I think revise that policy so we have the flexibility to move away from the mask mandate for the 21-22 school year. Right now, our board policy states that we have to establish procedures or guidelines that where you have directives or advice issued by the Florida Center for Disease Control, the state of Florida Department of Health, and or other local officials, those guidelines and or directives will be followed. In addition, the policy says the procedures or guidelines shall expire as soon as the Federal Centers for Disease Control and the state of Florida of Health and or local health officials advise that protective gear is no longer recommended and or required. And currently, you do have a number of these organizations that do recommend these things, such as the CDC. I think the policy limits our ability to make recommendations regarding the mask mandate because of what the policy says. It really makes it dependent on all these other entities. And if we did look at doing something, my recommendation would be to follow the Florida Department of Education's suggestion to amend our board policy that I just spoke to, policy 1.181, or at least allow it to sunset at a date certain in order to provide the board and staff with the flexibility as it relates to a mask mandate for 21-22.
Great, thank you very much. I just wanted to get that out there, and I appreciate that. And I know we still are constantly, just even today, we received notification that we have had 3 classrooms that had to be closed down. So this is still out there, and I believe that what I was told this afternoon, or it could have been this morning, that we're still at 6%, and as far as where we're at on the spectrum, and it needs to be below 5.
Yeah, the recommendation is below 5%. I did receive that yesterday. I know we're not, last time I looked at it, it was still over 5%. 6%, I believe, is correct. It hasn't been below 5% in a little while. We're all hopeful, though, as we see vaccines continue to expand, and you know, I think that hopefully we'll see that trend lower as we approach the school year.
Thank you. And we did have a workshop today. So today we did have a workshop so that that's the only way that we can have conversations. So our workshop today was just to start the process and figure out what is our next moves as far as with Dr. Atkins retiring at the end of June. We need to work together as a team to you know, pursue and put in an interim, and then, you know, as a placeholder or whatever it looks like for us. So that conversation had to happen, you know, in the sunshine. So that's why we had a workshop today. And we will have many more workshops. We will be bringing eventually to a briefing or a special meeting or the action meeting where public input definitely will take place. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware we are not excluding the public from this, and you will be engaging in the process. And let's see what else. And Ms. Hatter, I'll be more than happy to talk to you anytime. Just call me and I'll have a conversation with you. And I think that is it for now. And hopefully I haven't missed anyone. But again, you know, thank you for engaging. Thank you all for coming. The code of conduct is another issue. Some of you spoke. We do not want to discriminate against anybody, regardless if your religion or anything. We hold each and every one of you very near and dear to our hearts. We do hear what you say. We do listen. We're not listening just because we're sitting up here. We're listening because we do care about what is taking place in here. And as far as my God is a loving God and loves everybody. And I just, you know, and the gentleman with the prayer, I can't even tell you how many times I pray a day. But I just, and I know, and I forget her name, she left, Miss Brenda, I believe it was. I didn't understand every word that she was saying because she spoke in Spanish, but we do care about our children and their Christian values, and so we're not eliminating anybody. Our code of conduct is there to protect our students, to make sure that each and every one has a safe place and that they have a good, safe learning environment. So I just wanted to share that with you as well.
Matt, and just to bring the board up to speed, staff is going to be meeting on this particular issue, the code of conduct, again on Friday, this Friday, just to, because now we had the public input from yesterday's briefing, and of course, we want to come back to you with a recommendation in terms of what next steps will be. Also, I committed yesterday to providing some responses to some of the questions that were raised about distribution, and so those two things will be forthcoming to the board. So,
Thank you. Thank you very
aware.
much. Yeah, we need to make sure that we continue on that process of working on that. So I do appreciate that. Okay, so next on the agenda is our approval of consent action items. The documents for action items listed under consent is made available to board members 7 business days prior to the board meeting. We are expected to review all of the materials, and we have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding the recommendations. Some of these items have also been briefed or workshopped with the board in advance of appearing on the action agenda. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion under the unfinished business table items portion of the agenda? Ms. Giovanelli.
2, K10 and K11.
Ms. Patrica?
No, thank you.
Ms. Fisher?
I have none this evening.
Ms. Gittens?
I have none this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Vaughn?
I have none.
Ms. Morgan?
I have none.
And I have none. Is there a motion to approve the agenda consent action items with the exception of the pulled items K10 and K11?
I'll move to adopt the agenda consent items with the exception of K10 and K11.
Thank you. And may I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Morgan. And would you please record your vote?
Can I have discussion, please?
Yes, I'm sorry.
So I know we had a discussion and we reached consensus so that we could pull the resolutions out so that I wouldn't have to pull them every time and have a separate vote on those, and that didn't occur tonight. But I also didn't give you all 24 hours notice to pull those items, so I didn't pull them, but I'd like to ask that going forward, if we could find a way to accommodate that at our meetings, I'd really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So if we may, please record your votes.
The vote is not out.
I'm sorry?
It's not out.
Oh, Ms. Thomas?
There it is.
Okay, motion carries 7-0. Okay, we have K10 to address. Okay, Dr. Atkins, please read your recommendation for the pulled item.
Approval to pursue the sale of 9.81 plus or minus acres at 1429 Northeast 15th Avenue, Cape Coral, in the amount of $1.5 million. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt Dr. Atkins' recommendation?
I'll move to adopt Dr. Atkins' recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. And may I have a second? Ms. Vaughn?
I can do it.
Okay, so we have a first and a second and discussion. Ms. Giovanelli?
Thank you. Actually, I just want to move to postpone these items and table it with the other item that's already tabled until we have a new superintendent is appointed. So I'm just asking for postponement until we figure out, the direction of the district at this time. So I just moved to postpone items K, 10, and 11, and M1 to be tabled, or to be tabled with M1 until the new superintendent has been appointed.
Is there a motion on the floor that?
Excuse me, yeah, we're on K10, and this is discussion. So, Ms. Patrica?
I think I need a second on that, though.
That's
That was
why
a
I
motion.
asked. I was going to second it.
Okay.
Was K10 not motioned and seconded?
Mm-mm.
No, she's moving to take it
The
off.
superintendent's version was motion and second.
So there is a motion with regards to the recommendation, but a motion to postpone that motion has been made, and it has been seconded.
So now we'll have discussion on that motion. Please.
Yes.
Is there any discussion on Ms. Giovanelli's motion? Ms. Patrica?
I see no reason to delay this. Dr. Atkins, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we not have, did you not have a superintendent business round table with a whole bunch of business leaders here in Lee County who many, many years ago went through our budget, went through our property holdings, and made recommendations to the district to be more efficient? One of those recommendations was to offload property that can't be used for schools in the future. I also understand that our legislative delegation, while I don't always agree with some of the criticisms that they provide to us as a school district, this was one I agreed with. We were holding on to extra property and property we had purchased at the height of the market, and the possibility of getting rid of that to provide more capital revenue. Am I remembering this incorrectly? Please, Dr. Atkins.
My recollection is that we've received that input from multiple sources, and to be candid, staff really believed this was the direction of the board to look at surplus properties. I mean, and so that's why we engaged Trinity and have gone about this process. That's been a while ago, but that's my recollection.
And that's my recollection as well, and I do believe this is the direction of the board. I don't see any reason to delay this. I'm really happy with the information that's been brought forward to us by Mr. Oberski. I feel comfortable with the information he's provided, although a little bit uncomfortable with the level of detail, because I don't think that's necessary. And the other thing I'll say is, when this was being discussed yesterday, there was discussion of getting a higher price if we made alterations to the land, and I don't even think I'm using the correct terminology because I'm not a commercial realtor, but somehow improving the land to make it more attractive to the end user, I guess, and I don't think that's the business we're in as a school district. I think that if we have land and we can sell it, it makes sense to monetize it, and it doesn't make sense to wait and hope the market goes up more and take on the risk of the market potentially going down. So I am fully prepared to move forward on K10, K11, and I'm prepared to remove M1 from the table and vote in the affirmative on that this evening as well. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. So if we can stick to K10 first, and then we'll move to K11, so that way we have consistency here. Thank you. Ms. Fisher?
Yes. So yesterday, during the agenda review, we had detailed answers to the questions that were presented regarding K10 and the 9-point-something acres off of Del Prado in North Cape Coral. I think that was adequate, and I want to say that Dr. Atkins is retiring as of June 30th, and in the meantime, I expect for him to continue doing his job. His contract is not up yet.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Any other comments? Ms. Gittens?
Yes, I just wanted to make the same comment I made yesterday during the briefing. My question remains as to why we're selling property now. I agree with Ms. Patrica, we are not in the real estate business. And I would hope that we're not, trying to fix up property to sell or flip property or that type of thing. That's not our business. I still have the question, though, that in this market, in this county, there tends to be a limited amount of property to purchase in certain areas when we look at the growth numbers from the county and GIS and all of that. If it's, I guess to say if it ain't fixed, don't, don't break it. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I don't understand why we need to be selling right now. And my point is, if we were in need of funds and we had to build a school over here or fix up a roof over here and we didn't have the money for it, then I could understand divesting property. I just don't see the need for it right now, unless the one property in Bonita where the mine is and all that type of thing was a little bit questionable. But I just don't see, if you could show me, like I asked yesterday, if you sell this for $2 million, where is that going? What is the purpose for selling that? And what are we going to do with that $2 million? Do we need it for something? Or are we just going to put it in a fund? That's my question about it.
Ms. Vaughn?
Okay. I do agree with the fact that it's not wise to sit on land that we have no use for. But on the other hand, when we do sell property that we have, two things. I agree with Ms. Gittens that, and I had asked a very similar question yesterday about where those funds were going to go, and had an analogy of this is, to my knowledge, unless there's something I don't know about our funding, that we are doing perfectly fine at this point, bringing in our tax dollars to fund the projects that we have going for us. And then the other thing is the market today. I listened to what Mrs. Giovanelli said yesterday about where the Cape Coral property, which is K10, is located on Del Prado, and I know that's very desirable. And even though we're not talking about the other two, the one that's tabled is another example, which is M1, is an example of, to me, the same thing, because I do live near that area, and I think that's a giveaway. If I had money, I'd buy it and flip it in a couple years. I think that one's a giveaway. So those are my comments.
Thank you. Do you have any other, Dr. Atkins?
First of all, I think as a board, there needs to be clear direction here. I mean, we've engaged Trinity to do this type of work, and there's been a lot of work and effort that has been put into these efforts. And then if we were to come forward and like this on every one of these property sales, I mean, I don't see the reason to even go through this effort if we're not able to move forward with some of these things. So again, that's where we felt we had direction. That's what we've done. That's why we engaged a contract with Trinity to do this very, very work. Having said that, again, another reason we did it is because we are not commercial realtors. This is not my area of expertise. I'm not a developer, so that's not my bailiwick. That's why you engage people who have more knowledge in this area. Finally, to answer the question, as was answered yesterday regarding the funds, I think two things. One, and I'll try to say it more clearly this time, but what I was trying to demonstrate is that when we have more dollars in the capital fund, we are able to do more of the projects. So some of the things this board has wanted to do, like accelerate construction in the East Zone, accelerate the purchase of land. These are things that we are able to do more rapidly if we have more funds that are available. So that's one. The second thing is that, as Mr. Oberski pointed out yesterday, this actually positions the board in a good, I think, financial position. And if you sell this property over here, you have, again, funds to be able to purchase another piece of land in an area where you may have a larger student population and want to have the dollars to do that and not impact anything else in the capital plan, like the construction of buildings, the maintenance, the security upgrades, all of these things. Because the example I was trying to give is that while the infusion of dollars from the half-penny sales tax has been excellent for our district, it still doesn't bring us up to the level that we saw back in the mid-2000s. And so, back in the mid-2000s, we needed those dollars to go through rapid growth. Today, we need those dollars because we are still in a period of rapid growth. So, again, we're just here to truly what the board wants us to do, but we felt that's what we're doing.
Thank you. Ms. Gittens? I have a question. Ms. Patrica and Superintendent, you were talking about that when Trinity was hired, the board had approved everything at that point. Was that, I don't know if I'm just forgetting it, but was that with this board or the previous board?
I would say it was probably with the previous board, but this board has been together, was this year 3? So
okay,
I don't know. Well, we do have Mr. Oberski here, so he
well,
may...
no, I don't, we don't need to go that. I do need to say, though, every time we talk about funds, it comes up, that we were getting funds to do something in the East Zone. Ms. Morgan even said that the half-cent tax was to catch up things in the East Zone. We're almost halfway through the half-cent tax, and we haven't done that yet. So I'm just a little skeptical whenever that's brought up, that we're getting these funds to do that. And I don't doubt Mr. Oberski or his company and that they know what they're doing. I still always go back to our job is oversight. We're here to ask questions, and asking questions does not mean that we don't understand that he works hard and knows what he's doing. I don't know how to do what he does, but if there's a question, then I think we should be able to ask it without being made to feel like you're questioning the process and that this shouldn't happen. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just,
Go ahead, Dr. Atkins.
You have every right to ask questions, Ms. Gittens. What I'm really trying to do is try to provide a little context for why we're making this recommendation. That's all I'm trying to do. It's not taken away from any board members. You should be able to ask questions. That is your position and position of oversight. And if you want to change directions, that's your purview to do. It's just, you ask questions. I'm doing the best that I can to answer those questions. Relative to the East Zone, though, I do want to again say that, remember, we just passed the half-penny sales tax. It takes a while for the revenue to get into the coffers, and then you've got the capital project. So I think we're making good progress. And I think it's starting to really accelerate. Because we're really starting to see a lot of projects get moving in that zone and all zones, which is what the goal was when we got into the half-penny sales tax. Remember, permitting, as an example, takes time. Acquiring property, going out and doing RFPs and bids and getting the players in place to build a big building. That does take time, but now we've got a lot of these projects in motion.
Thank you, Dr. Atkins. Ms. Giovanelli?
Thank you. I was hoping I was going to get to talk. So let me share some context on this. These were listed prior to your election, so that's why you're not aware of that. Along with, we listed several properties. One was the actual Three Oaks property, because Mr. Morris said that was the worst place to build a school. and it would be so my point to that is, we do change gears. Because we actually bought property to build a school on that we're not going to build a school on now, but we're not selling that one right now because we possibly might build a school. So it's all about growth. And I think God's not making any more land. So we have to be very frugal with what we have. I am concerned over the 40 acres. I'm also concerned over the 6 Mile Cypress property because I think we should keep that because it's connected to our property. So I just think we need to have a plan. The plans have changed since 4 years ago when this was listed. So I think it's really important that, we talk about, somebody here says we make plans and stick with it, but we did change plans. We changed to Three Oaks property that was listed for sale by Mr. Obrowski's Trinity. And so he listed it, actually had an offer on it that was not brought to this board. And yet, we should have known about that. And then it was decided, that was because somebody decided to build on it when we didn't decide that. It wasn't our decision. It was decided by Atkins administration. So I think it's important to know that we have to talk about the future, and this future needs to belong, with land, needs to belong to the superintendent that's going to be heading up this future of the district. And I would ask for this to be tabled at this time for the best interest of the district and our community and our tax dollars.
Okay, are there any other comments? I will make my comment, and that is, yesterday we sat here for hours. We were given a presentation, and Mr. Obrowski did answer every question that we had before us, so I felt comfortable, and especially on this piece where they were speaking about, and I know the location where we could not build a school there, and the other information that we had asked of him, and that was answered. So it was asked and answered. So I feel comfortable with what we have going on right here. So if there's no other comments, I am going to go ahead and call for a vote, a hand vote on the motion. And if Ms. Giovanelli, if you could restate your motion so that Ms. Thomas has it.
I move to postpone items K10 and K11.
We're just on K10 at this moment.
Okay, I move to postpone K10 until the new superintendent has been appointed.
Okay. Hearing Ms. Giovanelli's motion, can we please have a hand vote on that? All in favor of postponing, please raise your hand. Okay. All oppose of postponing and going forward? 4-3. Thank you. Okay, moving on to, so that was the motion. So we're going back to the original motion, which was Dr. Atkins' recommendation on this item. So Dr. Atkins, could you please restate your motion or your recommendation?
Madam Chair, it's approval to pursue the sale of the 9.81 plus or minus acres at 1429 Northeast 15th Avenue, Cape Coral, an amount of $1,500,000. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Okay. So now may I have on Dr. Atkins' recommendation, may I have a
You already had that. You're going back to your original motion.
back to the original, so
you had your second already. If there's any discussion, and then your vote.
Is there any more discussion regarding the recommendation? Ms. Fisher?
Yes, the only thing I want to reiterate is that Mr. Obrowski and Ms. Ebar clearly defined for us the benefits in selling a small piece of property that is not on Del Prado, it's off Del Prado, and we have no foreseeable use for it in the 10-year plan. But right now, the reason to sell is it's a seller's market. So I support this.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. So seeing no other, may we have a hand vote? All in favor of moving forward with the sale, please raise your hand.
Is there no discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry, I asked for discussion.
Oh.
Ms. Gittens, did you have something to? Go ahead.
just basically, on all of these, I just want to reiterate and make it clear that if we're going to sell property or divest anything and raise funds, if I were to hear specifically that we're going to sell this, we're going to get this amount, and we're going to be able to remove 10 portables from this school and 10 from this school, I would go along with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Okay, if I may, again,
No, I'm voting.
okay. So all in favor of selling the property as recommended by Dr. Atkins, please raise your hand. All opposed? 4-3, motion carries. Thank you. Dr. Atkins, would you please read the recommendation for pulled item K11?
Yes, Madam Chair, approval to pursue the sale of 20 plus minus acres of our 40 plus or minus acre property at 12691 Tower Road, Bonita Springs, in the amount of $1,500,000. Approval will authorize the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Thank you, Dr. Atkins. May I have a motion to adopt Dr. Atkins' recommendation?
I move that we adopt Dr. Atkins' recommendation to pursue the sale of 20-plus acres of our 40-plus acre property at 12691 Tower Road, Bonita Springs, in the amount of $1,500,000.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Okay, it has been moved by Ms. Morgan and seconded by Ms. Fisher. Any discussion? And Ms. Giovanelli?
Yes, real quick. I wanted to make a correction because yesterday it was stated that there's a road in between that divides the land, but we were going to vacate that road to build the Medina Springs High School. So it can be a road that can be vacated when you utilize that that way, and that wasn't going to be an issue. Also, what the motion reads now, we have another offer on the table that's $500,000 more than this. So how does that work with this motion?
Dr. Atkins?
I'm not sure I
Mr.
understand, Mr.
I don't.
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Atkins?
This one over here.
We cannot have, I don't believe that, Mr. Bruno, are we able to have somebody come up and speak during this time?
I was trying to understand what Ms. Giovanelli was saying because I missed that, so that's what I was going to ask. Could you repeat what you said in terms of?
Okay, so yesterday he mentioned that there was another offer on the table that came in on Friday that's $500,000 more than this actual motion and offer that's on the table. So what are we voting on exactly? Because it's only the 1.5 or whatever, when in fact it's really more than that now. It's 2 million, I believe, right? So how does that work? It's really a question.
I need clarification, please.
So if Dr. Atkins can answer the question, he can definitely ask staff if they have more information to answer the question that's posed, because you do need to understand what you're voting on.
Right.
That's acceptable? Okay, just want to make
We
sure.
want you to have the accurate information, so Mr. Oberski is here to help answer these questions for us.
Dan Oberski is that on? Dan Oberski for the record, Trinity Commercial Group. We did speak to the potential buyer of the property that we presented to staff last week. They were not aware, the representative who had submitted the offer had not communicated that the property was in the DRGR, and as of 5 o'clock this evening, they retracted the offer.
Yeah, because yesterday you had left it that you were going to contact buyer one.
Contact both Bonita Springs and the buyer. And that conversation occurred today. And then we received an email today retracting the offer and apologizing that they were not aware that it was in the DRGR, which was our concern with the potential purchaser at a price that didn't seem to make sense in the DRGR.
Okay, so it's not being it was not advertised that it was in the DRGR?
The property is advertised with open market. We do not specifically state zoning on much of our property. But this was, a buyer brought the client to us. It was not one that we had worked with.
Ms. Giovanelli, do you have any more questions for?
No.
No, thank you. Ms. Vaughn?
Okay, I see this property as different from the other two, and, Madam Chair said, well, all of our questions were asked and answered, but I'm just going to remind everybody, just because we have questions answered doesn't mean we're going to agree and go along with those answers. On this one, I do agree, because it was explained that even if we sell a portion of this land on Tower Road, that we would still be able to build an elementary school there. And the odds are, especially considering the fact that, well, right now, Bonita Springs High School is not, there's no portables there, let's put it that way, that future growth, and I know there are a lot of communities springing up in that area, will be pushing east that way. Even though I wasn't on the board, I'm very aware of the difficulties we had with that property, with DRGR, and the fact that Bonita Springs, and I credit them on being a green community that wants to maintain our beautiful ecology that we have, our environment that we have here. So I understand this is a church, and that we just have not been inundated with people who want to buy. So that's why I have a different opinion, and I will be supporting the sale of this one, whereas I don't on the other two.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Gittens?
I have one question. Someone I was speaking to today mentioned the road is shared with the mine. Is that correct?
The road that goes north and south and borders one side of the road, or one side of the property, is an access road to the mine that's to the north.
And how would that affect if we even built a school there? And what they were saying too, it depends on how long the mine is going to be in operation. If it's, 5 years and we're not building anything for that time, then it's not an issue. But if it's going to be a continuous thing, how does that affect us building a school and sharing that access, right?
Our normal opinion would be road improvements are to our benefit. It's not a detraction. It normally increases the accessibility for us.
So, okay, and that's this level, I'm down here. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that do we have to fix the road if we do decide to build there and share the road with the trucks and everything coming from the mine? That's basically what I'm asking.
I don't technically handle transportation discussion and whether or not that improves or is accessible or not. They're improving it to improve its current condition. So it will be better than it currently is, but I can't tell you whether the level of improvements that will be required.
Okay.
And that would be something, Ms. Gittens, that if we were to move forward in a future capital plan to look at that, that's when we would start engaging the county about the road and potential improvements that they might have in mind. I think that's been a process here recently that has really been beneficial to us, is to engage our commissioners and our county manager in
So
those.
even with this sale that we're talking about here, we still maintain enough to build an elementary school, and we still would have to mitigate the road situation when and if we decided to build the school there.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Was that your?
Yes.
You good?
it
Thank
does.
you.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion regarding this?
Call for the vote.
Thank you. Dr. Atkins, could you please restate that, the recommendation?
Approval to pursue the sale of 20 plus or minus acres of our 40 plus or minus acre property at 12691 Tower Road, Bonita Springs, in the amount of $1,500,000. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Thank you, Dr. Atkins. We have heard Dr. Atkins' recommendation. We've had discussion, so if we could please have a hand vote for all in favor of selling this property, please raise your hand. 6 opposed? Okay, 6-1, motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, so those are K10 and K11 has been completed. Dr. Atkins, please introduce any administrators in attendance with a new assignment that were approved under the consent agenda.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, there is one more item, which is M1, which was a tabled item. At this time, the chair can entertain any motion to take from the table.
Can we let our admins leave before we do that?
Sure.
Can we celebrate them first, please?
Okay, I have 2 people to recognize this evening. First is Brooke Thomas, Gulf Elementary, from Dean of Student Discipline to Assistant Principal. Congratulations. And the next one is a transfer, Cherry Gibson, Sunshine Elementary Principal to Gateway Elementary Principal. It's Chris Siebenall, the current principal at Gateway Elementary, who'll be retiring, but has done a phenomenal job for this school district. So. Thank you.
Congratulations, ladies. Thank you, Dr. Atkins. And I apologize, I did not see that, so I'm so sorry for that. So unfinished business, which is, Dr. Atkins, would you please state your recommendation for our,
Ms. Jordan.
I'm sorry?
I think we need a motion to remove it from the table, do we not?
Okay.
I move to remove the tabled item to approval to pursue the sale of 10.43 plus or minus at 14701 Ben C. Pratt, 6 Mile Cypress Parkway, Fort Myers.
Have a second? Okay.
And Madam Chair, because this is a motion to take from the table first, a discussion is not required, just a majority vote. Once that is done, you will then go to the motion to adopt the recommendation as normal.
I'm so sorry, please.
This is a motion to take from the table. You have a proper motion, you have a second. A discussion does not occur when it's to take from the table. You would do a majority vote. Once that is completed, you will then go to your motion that is on the table.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that is pending.
Okay. And this will be a hand vote as well? No, it'll be up, okay.
Voting.
It's going to be on the screen. Sorry.
This was an additional and not a poll?
No, this was not a poll. That's why it wasn't on my paper.
Okay.
Have not voted.
Did it come up for everyone?
Ms. Patrica, Ms. Gittens, we don't have your vote.
I did vote yes.
Is it me that smells smoke, or is it my?
7-0, motion carries.
That's 6-1.
Madam Chair, it's 6-1.
I can't see that. What is it?
6-1.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now at this time, the motion that is pending is the motion to adopt the superintendent's recommendation.
Dr. Atkins, would you please state your recommendation?
The recommendation is a motion to take from the table the motion that was made on March 23rd, 2021 by Ms. Fisher to approve pursuing the sale of 10.43 plus or minus acres of the 34.85 plus or minus acre parcel of school board property located at 14701 Ben C. Pratt, 6 Mile Cypress Parkway, Fort Myers, Florida, also known as STRAP, and I will not read the STRAP, to Seagate Development, LLC, in the gross amount of $2,271,653, subject to final actual property conveyed, calculated via certified survey at $5 per square foot. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all documents.
Thank you, Dr. Atkins. Is there a motion to adopt Dr. Atkins' recommendation?
Motion, it's already been motioned.
Yeah, there was a prior motion. It was properly brought forth. It was properly seconded. So at this point, if there's any further discussion, and then your vote.
Thank you. I have to apologize to
me
everyone. It's my first time doing this.
Ms. Dupree Bruno, maybe I confuse things with this. Do you want me to read the original motion?
It's for clarity. Thank you.
Original motion is it's recommended approval to pursue the sale of 10.43 plus or minus acres of the 34.85 plus or minus acre parcel of school board property located at 14701 Ben C. Pratt, 6 Mile Cypress Parkway, to Seagate Development Group in the gross amount of $2,271,653, subject to final actual property conveyed, calculated via certified survey at $5 per square foot. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all documents.
And Madam Chair, that motion, the recommendation was made to adopt the superintendent's recommendation was made by Ms. Fisher, and it was seconded by Ms. Morgan on March 23rd.
Thank you. So at this time, we will have discussion. Anyone for discussion? Ms.
Yes.
Gittens?
Thank you. So is this a total sale of all the property? Is this a portion?
It's a portion. It's that front portion of that property. If you go to the transportation compound there, and you know when you turn into, if you've ever, I don't know if you've been there, but
Oh, I know what you're talking about, yes.
that's right. It's right in the front part of that property.
I'm sorry, now that I know that it's that,
For the sign is
may I rescind my vote at this time? I voted yes, I would like to rescind that.
You send your vote to move it from the table?
To,
Right now, it's only now that
we're
we're.
not voting on this
Yes,
yet.
we haven't voted on this yet.
No, we're not. This is discussion.
Okay.
Did you have any other discussion? Ms. Gittens?
No, I think I've discussed it before. I think that, yeah, I've said everything before.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion? Ms. Giovanelli?
I'm just going to say that I just think you need to keep this 10 acres with the other 25, and so it's, a total of, I think, 34 acres, and I just think the property needs to stay together at this time, because we don't know when we might need to put another school there, or, middle school or whatever, or K through 8. That might be the success of our district, all the new K through 8. So I'm going to, at this time, ask again, I would like to have seen it stay for the next superintendent, not just table it, but since it got pulled from the table, I will be not supporting the sale of this property at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Ms. Vaughn?
Yeah, I understand Ms. Giovanelli's point about keeping it together, which is one reason that I oppose selling it right now. And the second is I am very familiar with this area, pass it several times a week, and this is a very hot area. And I know people might say, well, it's you're gambling when you say things are going up, but projects on 6 Mile Cypress are little by little just going up and the land is disappearing. And I've heard the argument, oh, this land would be much more sellable if we had, if it were cleared, if it had. My feeling is there's a dearth of land on 6 Mile Cypress. There's only so much. And a motivated buyer is not going to care that they will have to clear and do the things we've talked about. I'm not for having us go in and change what the land looks like and do improvements, like you might paint the walls in your house to make it look nicer. I really think that we need to sit on this one. Go back to the table. If the seller is motivated enough, that seller will come up with more money, or we will no doubt have other, or did I say seller, other buyers rather, in the future.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Is there any other, Ms.
And just so, the seller is actually an investor. He's going to upgrade the property and sell it. So it's an investor.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Flip it?
I mean, the buyer is an investor, so he's going to upgrade the property. I said the wrong thing. Yeah, the buyer is an investor. Seagate's an investor. They're going to, they're going to clear the land and then flip it. So.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Vaughn, did you have something else to say?
No, I just said they're going to flip it out of turn, sorry.
Is there any other discussion? So if none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Those in favor of selling the property at this time, and you know what, I'm going to make my comment too. I'm so sorry. I think that, I believe that we were told, though, if we were to do something behind that, on that 20-some acres, we could actually build a school, if need be, that there was still enough room, even if we sold this property. Is that correct? Am I remembering that correctly?
I thought that we were referring to the property on Tower Road. I know that it was discussed. That's currently a transportation compound.
Right.
And I could be wrong, but I don't recall any discussion about a school being built on that piece of property, other than, I know Ms. Giovanelli brought it up yesterday in that
Right.
meeting. So, I'm looking at Dr. Savage. No, correct?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All
You do have to think about, I'm not saying it's not feasible, but, as a transportation compound with the buried tanks, and it is
Under the ground.
yeah, and you have that, and then you also, it's a vital link in our transportation, system right now.
Sure.
I mean, that's, I think, our second biggest. I want to say transportation north is the biggest. And then 6 Mile, they're very close in terms of their size.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so if we could go ahead then, those in favor of selling, going ahead and going forward with selling the property as recommended by Dr. Atkins, please raise your hand. Those opposed? 4-3, motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Before closing the regular meeting and opening the public hearing, Dr. Atkins, please present your recommendations for this evening's public hearing.
Yes, Madam Chair. Recommended action this evening is approval to adopt policy 5.081, certification of adjunct educators in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be April 28, 2021.
Thank you. We will now recess the regular school board meeting and open the public hearing. As indicated, the public hearing this evening is to consider approval to adopt policy 5.081, certification of adjunct educators to in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices, and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be April 28th, 2021. At this time, the public will be invited to speak on this one item. The time allowed for comments is 3 minutes. Is there anyone on the right side that, there's somebody on the left side, that would like to address the board?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I do believe there may be some people in the back room as well that want to address the board.
Were you in the back room, dear? Yep. Please. Wait a second. Make sure that mic's on, hon. Just a second. Wait, can you check it? I think you're on.
Just heard it.
Ms. Dye, see if you're on.
There we go. Okay, so policy 5.081 is the certification for the, and I'm probably going to say it wrong, but the adjunct educators. I actually think that this is a great policy, and it's going to bring in some qualified people that have certifications in their own fields to be able to teach the students, which would allow for more hands-on learning experiences, which might be a good use for what the properties that you're discussing might be, is if we could actually build vocational schools on those properties as opposed to regular, everyday, full traffic schools, but to actually have things like tech, automotive, wood shop, things that we previously had that built a society. My concern with the policy specifically is that it has rights and protections, but it doesn't actually have a review policy. It doesn't have any kind of qualifications for the review, or it doesn't have any kind of responsibilities listed in here. It does say that they have the rights of the teachers. It does say that they can have a contract that's up for 1 to 3 years and it's not renewable. If we have a person in the position that's doing a great job, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to renew the contract, especially if they were somebody that is qualified, they're great, they're local, they could impact, they could even offer internships with the students or something like that where they have the availability to go further into education and with the field that they're educating in. So maybe we can change the verbiage about renewal and maybe just up for reevaluation, or they can requalify, something like that. Just wanted to bring those things to your attention. And with the review, I know that it came up with our attorney, but if there's qualifications that they're being held to, then that is what should be the review is for and built in from the beginning. I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stein.
Corey Dye. I think the policy is good. I'll reiterate a little bit what my wife just said. I think it's important for us to not just focus on college ready and get people working class. I mean, some of the land that you're talking about that's small, we can't really do anything. You know, you guys could offer that land up to team with like Lincoln, a massive welder manufacturer. They build schools all over Ohio and in other areas that they bring in kids and train them, and they're nationally certified to go anywhere in the country and be paid $32 an hour, things like that. HVAC, obviously this is Florida. We know, you know, HVAC is a big deal. Team up with a local major company, right? Say, hey, look, we'll offer the land, we'll do the permitting, all of those things that obviously you guys get a little bit bonuses to, and we'll get the land ready, and you build a training facility, and we'll get high schoolers there to learn HVAC. I mean, electricians, your possibilities are limitless. Tech, we already know you guys can build technology hubs, programming hubs. Robotics engineering is a massive thing right now. You know, those are all things that you guys could just offer this up. Tell a company or even some university, link with FGCU and say, hey, how can we bridge a gap between some of your programs and our program, and if I can get, you know, juniors and seniors over there 2 days a week, how fast could they now progress through your university and get into the workforce and become productive members? All of those things. So I wish that, you know, you guys could talk a little more about, you know, it's not just college, you know, it's not. So maybe use some of these programs and these properties to really give these kids tools for success in whatever path fits them best. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And thank you both for those comments. And we are definitely trying to stay focused on career to training so these kids are ready for whichever path they choose. So thank you for that. Okay. I will now close the public. I'm sorry, was there anyone else in the room before I move on? No. Okay. I will now close the public hearing and reconvene the regular school board meeting of April 27th, 2021. Dr. Atkins, please reinstate your recommendations for this evening's public hearing item.
Yes, recommended items, the action is approval to adopt policy 5.081, certification of adjunct educators in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be April 28, 2021.
Thank you. Did you, I'm sorry.
Right.
Mr. Pre-Bruno, can I
You're allowed to speak.
allow her to,
Well, at this point, you have closed the public hearing. If you want to do a motion to reopen the public hearing to allow her to speak.
I would like someone to have a motion.
I'll motion that we open the public hearing so that we allow,
And I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you might not know this, but we're on delay back there by a good 15 to 20 seconds. So we sometimes don't get all the information until late.
Thank you.
Tara Jenner here. One of the things that I think that the board needs to consider looking at that kind of goes along with this whole VOTEC component, we've got a lot of land that is not being used. You guys have already discussed that a lot this evening. Look into an agricultural tech program that's an agricultural variant of what we have for the vet tech program at South High School. And we can train kids that are already in those areas doing agricultural work, not as a picker, not as a manual laborer, but working in management, focusing on things that they can do in order to be able to have a career. There are plenty of people in this area that have the skills and the ability to be able to assist with that. We have universities in the area, and I know several staff members that are currently on school salary that have the ability and the enthusiasm to even spearhead such a program. So I encourage you very strongly to consider that as a viable alternative to selling land, make it productive. Not only can these kids learn and have an actual vocation down the line, but they can actually grow some of the produce that would be able to help our community and also subsidize some of the food products that are going into our schools in order to increase the quality of the food that they're eating. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jenner. Was there anyone else back there? No. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I will now close this public hearing and reconvene the regular school board meeting of April 27, 2021. Dr. Atkins, please restate your recommendation for this evening's public hearing items.
Yes, Madam Chair, recommended action approval to adopt policy 5.081, certification of adjunct educators in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be April 28, 2021.
Thank you. You have heard the superintendent's recommendation that the board adopts policy 5.081, certification of adjunct educator to in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be April 28th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to, I'm sorry.
Ms. Gittens, go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Gittens.
Oh, okay. I make the motion to accept policy 5.081, certification of adjunct educators.
Thank you. May I have a second, please? Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Any discussion? Ms. Gittens?
I know this is just the policy, but do we have the pay scale or anything with that yet, Dr. Atkins, I mean, is it going to be based on if you're an engineer or teaching nursing, or, is there a sliding scale? How does that work?
I believe that's the way it works, but that's a great thing for you guys to have. I mean, I think this gives us, I believe, that type of flexibility. But I don't want to misspeak. This is a first step from moving away from short course instructors to getting adjuncts. It's something we've been talking about doing for the very reasons stated by really some of our public speakers here today. When you have our technical colleges and you have people that have these areas of expertise, it really doesn't always match up with our salary schedule, and the same with the hours and so forth. So, my hope is that we were able to adopt an adjunct model so that we can employ somebody who's got expertise in welding, as an example. Because if you talk to Mr. Greenmo out at South, I think that's one of the things that he can talk to you about, the difference in compensation levels. So.
And can I also ask on that, I really have not read the whole 1012.57. Have we discussed or compared with other districts that are already doing this, how strenuous it is, and what their success rate is as far as finding adjuncts that are interested in doing it?
I wish I could answer your question directly. I can't, but I will be more than happy to get that. It's Rita Davis who brought this forward, and so I'm sure
I
Rita.
know she brought it up once before. I mean, that's just a question I would like to hear. I mean, I'm still supporting it because I feel it's another way to get teachers.
Yes.
And another way to, as we've heard, to have students educated that are not necessarily going to college, or maybe not going right away, so.
Correct.
I can get with her and get those answers later. Thank you.
Absolutely. I did just get a text from Dr. Pruitt, who's listening in, and she says we will be the first, so we'll be on the cutting edge when it comes to this.
And is this Ms. Davis's?
Yes, Ms. Davis was the one who brought it forward. Yep.
Congratulations, Ms. Davis. This is excellent.
Agree, this potentially be a really good thing for our kids. I mean, what better way to get an education from someone who's been there, done that, has a real skill in the trade. So.
Very, very true. Thank you. Any other discussion, please? Ms. Fisher?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify a little bit on the policy 3C, where it says an adjunct teaching certificate issued for a full-time teaching position is valid for no more than 3 years and is non-renewable. And then there are some indications in the statute that say that a school district can offer or award a teaching certificate to someone who has been rated as highly effective. So is there a plan, like a backup plan? Because if you have somebody who's in a position for 3 years and they're doing an effective or highly effective job and meeting the need, and their adjunct certificate is not renewable, is there an alternative or a plan? I just wasn't able to really clarify that for myself by reading the statute.
I'm a little rusty in my HR. I apologize for that. We used to award vocational certification.
Yes.
So I think we still do that, and but I'll make sure to follow up. And
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Did you have any other questions?
So, can I ask one quick one?
Wait, let me see, make sure are you finished with your questions?
No.
Oh, okay, no, Ms. Fisher, I just wanted to make sure you were finished.
No,
Okay,
thank you.
Ms. Gittens?
Since it's our policy that we're writing and there's nothing else to compare it to, then perhaps looking at that non-renewable part, because I hadn't seen that either, Is there a way that we can even adjust that? And thanks for bringing that up, Ms. Fisher, because if we do have someone that is doing a great job, and I don't understand the non-renewable part.
Well, I think that came right from the statute.
Right.
So that's,
What I was asking.
and
Okay.
then if you go on to 4, in the rights and protections, individuals who are certified, shall have the same protection of laws as teachers certified under 1012.56, which is the preceding one. But I still wasn't able to decipher, did that mean that that protection was to keep them employed in the event that their certificate expired and couldn't be renewed? So I just wasn't sure about that.
Dr. Atkins, I think that was something that Ms. Davis had spoke to us about, though, when she was presenting this. I just can't remember.
I
think
can't
that-
either.
I think you're right in what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
So, do we have, do you have any other questions?
No.
Can we pass it with caveat that we would look into that?
No.
That's what Dr. Atkins said, yeah.
Do I have any other questions? Comments? Okay, seeing none. Then I will ask for the vote then, and this will be a hand vote as well, correct, Ms.
It's
Thomas?
up here, it's on the screen.
It's on there.
Oh, I didn't see, oh, I have it. Thank you. Please vote. Does this say yes all the way?
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you so much. Okay. And we are now to go to our other business, which will be board member comments. And I will begin with Ms. Giovanelli this evening. Did you say of course?
She did.
You're the first one on the list.
No, but I'm really not number one.
Today, you're number one.
No, I'm always number one. So I had sent everybody an email regarding my motion to repeal the Equity Florida poster from the Code of Conduct as of 2021 school year. However, the board attorney advised me through our other board attorney, or our retired board attorney, I would say, Mr. Martin, and he advised that the poster cannot be removed without public hearing because it would be an amendment to the policy. The public meeting in which the public hearing would have to be held must be advertised 21 days prior, right? So that doesn't allow me to repeal it. And then I was advised that I can't even repeal my own vote, correct? So I can't even do that. So I wanted to allow for the fact that if I can't do that, I can publicly state that I would rescind my vote at this time based on how it was put in the Code of Conduct without community stakeholders, and I mean by all. So I actually would like to make a motion that to this board, I would like to motion that this board advise the community how they would vote to keep the poster in or not have the poster in if they'd have known at the time. And I would like to take a vote for that. So I motion for that vote for all of us to let the community know who was behind the poster.
Ms. Giovanelli, that's not an action vote. You can request if your colleagues want to advise how they perceived if they were going to vote for it, if they had recognized or realized that the poster was in there, but it's not really it's not an action vote. It's not a motion.
I can't ask the board to pull the board to.
You can ask them, but not in form of a motion.
Okay, I'm pull the board then. They don't have to answer is what you're telling me. Okay. So here, my vote again, that I would rescind that. Thank you. And y'all have a good evening.
Was that
Do
the
we
rest of your
speak
comments?
or
That was your comments?
Yeah.
Ms. Giovanelli? Thank you.
do we speak on what she said, or you're saying we don't?
No, we're going. Thank you, though, Ms. Gittens. Ms. Patrica?
So we received an email from Christian Whitish. Y'all remember that? From the Student Advisory Committee, I believe, parliamentarian, and asked if the student could be given a 10 to 15-minute period of time to come before the board to present issues in capacity as parliamentarian. I don't know that that's appropriate, because I don't know that the parliamentarian is the appointed person to speak on behalf of the Student Advisory Committee. So I want Christian to know that we got it, we received it, and we will discuss it. I probably should have raised it during good of the order at yesterday's meeting or at today's meeting. However, those meetings ran really long, and I had it in my notes to raise it during my, my board report, which I'm doing tonight instead of earlier. So I don't know if during your comments, Ms. Fisher, you could provide some guidance as to how, I think we usually, we would ask the Student Advisory Committee to determine who's going to come forward, as opposed to, and I'm not aware that the parliamentarian has that authority. So I guess I would ask that whoever's at the next Student Advisory Committee meeting, if you could raise this with the group and then find a person who can be nominated and elected by that group to come in front of the board to share. I think it's a fantastic idea that they come in front of us, but I don't know that we can just grant this request as it came to us. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Dr. Atkins, can a member of staff please transcribe the public speaker from tonight who spoke Spanish and send that to the board, because I did not understand any of it.
Yes, we can make sure that that happens and get you all that information. I would assume that's what you all would want.
Thank you. And then I just want to report on my activities over the past couple weeks. Executive District Advisory Council met a second time for the purpose of sort of previewing the presentation that's going to occur tomorrow night. The level of involvement of this EDAC has been phenomenal. They kind of pre-vet these presentations to make sure that the presentations are going to elicit actionable feedback for staff to use going forward. So again, they've really been wonderful. I have had 3 school visits. Riverdale, did I hear you, was it you, Ms. Fisher, yesterday who mentioned how happy you were about Riverdale?
Yes.
Yes.
Very happy.
Ditto. It's always been a little bit of a sad place to me, Riverdale, because it's old and brick, and but the staff inside the building is not sad. I want to make that very clear. And they're doing a phenomenal job despite difficult times. I'm repeating what everybody else is saying. They're exhausted, but they continue to be dedicated to the kids and grateful for the opportunity to be in classrooms in front of kids. Veterans Park, I was out at Veterans Park. Principal Freeman is, I don't know, I think she loves on those kids, and she holds them to the highest standard at the same time.
That's Franklin Park.
Wrong school, Franklin Park.
It's Principal Freeman, sorry.
Franklin Park. Is Principal
I don't know
Freeman.
why I wrote veterans, that was stupid. My bad. You're right, Franklin Park. Principal Freeman loves on those, she walks into a classroom and they all hug her while she's correcting them and telling them to stop running in the hallway. You know what I mean? Like, if I could get my kids to love me when I'm correcting them, that would be awesome. But she's got control in that building. She's so devoted to that community and so into this process of figuring out how that school is going to be torn down and rebuilt. So just really, really good to be out there. I should have gone out there sooner. Finally, I'm ashamed to say that this is my first trip to Pine Island. I'm ashamed to say that it's my first time out there. I've been on the board this long. And what an amazing place. Dr. Atkins, I do have to tell you, I walked up on the hill where your portable was, where you started your teaching career 33 years ago. And I did get a picture if anybody wants to see it of what you look like back then. It's very fuzzy and it's very much in the distance, so I couldn't see it very well, but Dr. Millens, as we all know, is phenomenal. He's gone out there and he's gotten a feel for the place, and he's not looking to make any huge changes immediately because he knows that there's a culture that needs to be understood before any changes can take place. The staff was just unbelievable. They really were just unbelievable. I got a chance to sit and speak with teachers in small groups. I got a chance to sit and speak with bus drivers. I mean, he showed me every nook and cranny of the place. Just really, really excited to finally get out there and understand what makes Pine Island so special. And it was also really cool. I mean, right on the heels of your announcement to retire, it was really cool to see where you started. So that was fun. 2 more things. Estero Rotary, I spoke out there last week, and as usual, they are phenomenal supporters of our schools. You know, a lot of interest in your retirement and in LGBT issues, and very happy to hear about the data coming out of our schools, the progress, graduation rates, all of that. And finally, you know, I wasn't here yesterday because of my FHSAA meeting. That was 2 days of meetings. Trying to think if anything major happened that I need to report to you. I don't really think anything major happened. That we did like 58,000 little policy changes, but that was really it there. So I think those are my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fisher.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I participated with the United Way as they decided on funding 2 of our partners, which is the Drug Free Coalition and also Learning for Life programs, both of which have serviced our students without cost for many years. I'm just going to say, I know Ms. Jordan's going to talk a little more about the student advisory, but I was able to attend the student advisory meeting on April 24th via Zoom, and it was a whole different look, and I missed having that personal interaction with the kids. However, I will be at the next meeting to be there, you know, to enjoy it in person. So with Christian, I think we need to find out what it is he wants to talk about, and then we can bring it to the committee. So I'll ask Lizette to put that on the agenda. Okay, and then I'm going to give a little bit of a, we had the Drug Free Coalition Red Ribbon Week, which was delayed from October 2020 because of COVID last week, and I'm going to let Mrs. Vaughn talk about that because she graciously did the resolution and the announcements for the awards for our students, and thank you for that, Ms. Vaughn. A little bit of update on my strategic plan activities, which is my piece of the strategic plan, is the social and emotional health of students. So let's look at mental health. Wellness Wednesday for parents this week is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. and the topic is going to be depression in youth, what parents can do to help. And Georgia Holinsky, who is a licensed mental health counselor, as well as the assistant manager for Children's Therapy Service at Salis Care, will be presenting. Our schools continue to offer small groups to students with indicated need and referrals for clinical services as determined by the parents of the children and the mental health teams at the schools. Services will continue during the summer months to support those kids and families who really need the help. Our Lori Brooks, Mary Lynn Rodriguez, and Sherry Wenzel, part of our mental health team, went through a rigorous training and earned the designation of trust-based relational intervention practitioners, which means now that this trauma-informed training can be offered free of charge to district staff and families. Our Prevention Services has released its 4th quarter prevention newsletter, and this quarter's topic focuses on social media and mental health, and addresses such other topics as the effects of social media on youth and suicide, and prevention courses on tobacco, vaping, marijuana, and bullying continue to be used across the district with students who are engaging individually in the course. Comprehensive health update. Our health teacher on assignment, Leisha Roy, has been invited by the Florida Department of Education to be a part of the Substance Use and Abuse State Standards Writing Team. She is notorious around the state and has helped with curriculum in many areas, and kudos to Leisha, and lucky us to have her on our team. This week, the school district's inaugural Historically Black Colleges and Universities Virtual College Fair for students, which is a collaboration between the School District of Lee County and Collier County Public Schools, and hope to be a partnership for years to come. Just a little update on legislative that I've been keeping tabs on for comprehensive health education. Senate Bill 1094, which requires that general health education curriculum for K-12 public school students be developmentally and age-appropriate and must include information on the prevention of child sexual abuse, exploitation, and human trafficking. It also modifies our existing health curriculum requirements to specify that any instruction on abstinence and the consequences of teen pregnancy applies only to those students in grades 6 through 12, and of course the parents have the right to opt out. So that passed. And our parental rights bill, House Bill 241, which now creates Chapter 1014 of the Florida Statutes as the Parents' Bill of Rights, enumerates parents' rights with respect to the minor children for education, health care, criminal justice, etc. And I won't go into the whole thing, but I'll send you guys a copy of this. And this has been sent, passed both houses and has been sent to the governor for approval. I want to say thank you to our Student Services and Mental Health team for helping me and keeping me abreast of all of the activities of the district so that I can do my part of the strategic plan. And I want to thank all of our dedicated employees who work hard and have gone above and beyond to keep us rolling. And I also look forward to the next 2 months as we transition with the support of Dr. Adkins. Our stakeholders and all the people who come to share their opinions with us are very important to our business, and I'm also grateful for them, and it's a pleasure to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Ms. Gittens?
Okay, just a couple of things. I have asked for a couple of meetings. I wanted to, 2 weeks ago at our last meetings, I had asked for an opportunity to rescind my vote on the Student Code of Conduct just on that one section. And I did ask for if we could do a consensus, and that didn't happen, so it did not happen 2 weeks ago. As far as where I stand in that, and I will say publicly, I think I've said it in the last couple of weeks, that I feel, I don't know of anybody else that has said so many times about involving the public. And I have continued to say that and continue to ask that, and I still do. I asked the chair and the attorney several times about having a special meeting and discussing the superintendent after his announcement that he was retiring. And the reason I asked about a special meeting was so that the public would be involved, and I was denied that as well. So what I would like to say is, and it was brought to our attention that we have gone forward and set up the whole plan and not included the public. In order, and I know we're saying we'll do that down the road, but we have a very tight timeline. So my suggestion is to add a special page on our website, perhaps calling it Our Superintendent Search, and where we would post the minutes per se and the things that we discussed, the timeline, all of those things, and share the, the board office at leeschools.net, so that if anyone has comments or questions, that as we're going through the process, at least we can let them know that they can add that at that particular spot. I don't know, do I need to make a motion for that, or may I make a motion for that? Well, I would like to.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes, it's appropriate if she wants to make that. That's a formal action, so she can make a motion.
And I would like to make a motion that we provide a special page on our website, as we are having to move very quickly through this process, to add something to the effect of our superintendent search, where the public can be kept up to date on a regular basis of what we're doing, know when we will have open meetings that they can give input, and kind of share the process as we're going along. I think we have learned our lesson, or should have, that not taking the public along hand in hand gets us into a lot of situations.
Madam Chair, Ms. Gittens, so if you're making the motion, make the motion, and then we can move forward to see if there's a second, and then there can be discussion.
So my motion is that we have a special page on the website for the district, and possibly the school sites as well, so everyone can see it, to keep the public and taxpayers up to speed on what we're doing with our superintendent search.
I second that.
Thank you. Now, discussion, please. Ms. Vaughn?
I think at this point, beyond the emails that we normally get and phone calls and that sort of thing, I see it problematical to have that special page. We made, as we discussed this afternoon, and to me that would have been something more appropriate for discussion this afternoon, we want to keep it us as a board. We really drove that point home. And to do that, first of all, we would involve communications department to establish that and put it out there. We would need to have people to monitor. I think, we have open meetings. They're advertised meetings, and people can tune in. I invite anybody who wants to email us on anything that we said. You know where to find us, and you can see exactly what we said, what we decided, and the same thing is going to happen with all of our meetings. So I see having a special page dedicated to this at this time for an interim search as problematical and not practical, so I won't be supporting it.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Morgan?
Yeah, so I think it's a good idea to have a static page, not an interactive page, just a separate page that says, this is the process of the superintendent search. These are the associated meetings, and the public is welcome to speak or not speak at these meetings. No, just put it up, a piece of just, a schedule, period. Doesn't need to be maintained, just needs to be updated as we add dates. That's it. I think it's a good idea. It's a big deal in the community. I think it warrants that kind of attention.
Ms. Giovanelli?
I actually would agree with Ms. Morgan. I think that it's being transparent. I think it's being communicating out the information. I think and I think it needs to be simple and just exactly what we as a board decide to give it, and we hold that as our it's ours, it's ownership on that. So no, I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Ms.
I'll
Patrica?
support it too if it's static. And I want to sort of lay out a bit of a caution. You know, we did discuss this afternoon how this has to be just ours and very separate from staff, but I think we're going to find along the way that we are going to need staff to complete this process. And this doesn't have to be an us versus them. We are a district together. And so when that conversation occurred earlier today, I didn't want to be combative, but I think this is an example of many that we will find going forward.
Thank you, Ms. Patrica.
And that's it. I'm not going to talk about protocol because we violated protocol. I'm not going to talk about it.
Ms. Fisher?
So I like the idea of a static page, keeping the community informed, and of course, our meetings are all on YouTube, and people tune in, sometimes more than others. And I totally agree with being transparent and connecting with the community. I think that's a critical part of our job because, after all, we work for them. They're the taxpayers and the voters.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I would support that.
And I would go with
I was just going to say,
I'm sorry.
we just need to make sure we have our ducks in a row first before we put that page out there.
Correct. Ms. Vaughn?
I would support this if it was specifically a static page that just puts the information that's available anyway on our website, but puts it out there. My understanding from Ms. Gitten's motion was that it would be almost interactive, that okay, well then I misunderstood what you said. I will support it as a static informational page, but not as something where, except for an occasional date update, that we would have to have somebody monitor all the time.
Thank you.
I misunderstood the motion then.
Okay, and I as well would support if it was a static page as well. And I, just for clarification, I'll just hold that. But, so could we take a vote then on?
I've got two questions. Number one, Dr. Atkins, are you okay with us asking staff to do this?
Yes.
And number two, do we have to take public comment on this because it's a motion?
We do. Yes. So once our conversation is over, then we have, because it is a motion, it has to be, have to offer public comments. So.
And can I just clarify my motion, please? I'm not asking for something that everybody has to, monitor every day and people can put messages on there. What I originally said was, it was basically informational, adding the part of, if you do have comments or questions, here's the meeting, here's, meetings coming up, here's an email or whatever. Just something basic like that, but just to keep them informed. Because there's a time period now where we've made a lot of decisions today, and yes, we can say people will watch the video. It's not going to happen.
Thank you. Ms. Morgan, did you have a?
Yeah, I just got to ask Ms. Gittens to withdraw our motion. We all agree that we want to do this. We don't need a motion and a vote and a public comment.
Well, can we, I want to make it formal, if we can. Is there anyone, can we check and see?
You can have,
if there's
this is formal,
anyone?
so could you please restate what your motion is? So then we've already had discussion, and then we'll ask for public comments.
Okay, I'm just.
But I want, it needs to be clear so that Ms. Thomas has what your motion is.
It is to provide a page on our existing website that would have notes and plans and dates and all of that to inform the public because of what we are doing as far as the whole superintendent search, interim search, the whole thing, to keep them in line.
I think, do we need that to be clarified of what that is?
So Ms. Gittens, perhaps I can help with some wording. The motion to have a static informational public page on the superintendent search.
Yes, and not just the superintendent, but the interim as well, all of the whole process.
Just the whole superintendent search, everything. So if that's acceptable, the motion would be to have a static informational public page on the superintendent search.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And now, public comments. Because we've already had discussion, so we're going to proceed with public comments, which I see we have some public comments. Ms. Dupree Bruno, do you need to address public comments prior to us going, or may I just start?
Mr. Dye is very familiar with the
I was
rules.
giving you the floor. You know, I was going to respect your process.
You know the rules.
Correctly.
All right. I'll say I think it's a great idea. Obviously, especially at this climate, I'm not going to beat up on you guys for sure, but especially in this climate, as more and more people, I guess, maybe jump into the process, kind of blind about the process. Obviously, some hot topics have gotten people motivated to come to meetings, which, hey, I guess that's good. That would greatly help, obviously, either for or against, pro or con about the current superintendent is kind of irrelevant. But if people, I think some of the confusion is they don't even quite understand what Dr. Atkins' role is. And, you know, we're over here throwing stones at them and beating up on them, and they don't really know. So I think that this website would have or page probably would have made even his life a lot easier given that opportunity. But going forward for the public to be able to understand how this process is going to go. We get emails all the time about when can we talk at a meeting, what's the difference of a workshop, a brief, all of those things. So having that process there is great. Your website is horrible. It doesn't function well, and you're talking about somebody kind of born in the millennial generation. First home computers, I had one as a kid. I've always had computers. So knowing how to use a computer, yeah, your guys' website is not user-friendly. To finding board operation stuff. The website in general is a great website. I'm not knocking your IT department if they're listening. Don't spam me. Don't spam me, IT department. I mean just about the board operation aspect of it. Like the board docs was a horrible idea. I don't know who sold you guys that, and you know, you might want to throw a rock at them.
Point of
Thank
order, we have to keep our comments to the motion on the table, please.
Thank you.
There was on it.
Hi, my name is Daniela Dye. So I think that the website is a fantastic idea, or the additional page. I think that informed consent goes across all borders, and informed decisions is extremely important. I would say that it needs to stay informational. I think that the statutes for the state as well as the district need to be cited, and I do agree, and I've talked to Ms. Stillwell before, but it is very hard to navigate through the board docs, and I do understand that they're working on resolutions and they're trying to work on it, but it's very, very hard to navigate. So if you can reference those specifically on the page so that the jump to it is that much easier, it would help people be more engaged and help them to find the information. It is hard to navigate. So I would ask you to please make the page, please keep it updated with the dates as they change. It seems like everybody has travel plans. Just because of the time, and we are working on a sensitive schedule, so if there are changes, updates, informational on when you get candidates, who's being interviewed, when their interviews are, if they're going to be via Zoom, like what the methods are, so that we can have an educated opinion and understanding of where you guys are at with that. But just to really be involved in what that process is, you have a lot of people paying attention. You have more people that are attending and viewing and judging. Whether that's right, wrong, indifferent is what is happening right now. And we need to make sure that we're continuing to have that transparency. It is vital. I know Ms. Morgan mentioned it today, and you spoke on it very often, and you drove it home that like what you did in the past, whether it worked or didn't work, needs to be revisited. And I think that this is a great step in how we can go forward with a new process and what the options are for that process. What I think we talked about neighboring districts, one of them being Miami-Dade. or Dade County. I don't necessarily know that we want to use a county of that stature. It's not the same caliber of anything. It is massive. It is a big structured school district, but that's not the same representation as we have here. So if you can give those examples, give all the references that you're talking about. You've discussed a lot of things in these meetings, but to give those direct references, those direct links, so that people don't have to find the conclusions and make them themselves. They can take the information and make an informed, educated decision. Thank you.
So the only thing that we want comment on is the one page. Thank you, Ms. Dye. The only thing we want comment on is the one page that is for informational purposes as to the superintendent process. Not about the rest of the website, not about board docs, not about anything else, just on the page to give the public information on the superintendent hiring process.
Tara Jenner. If I may just though add that if we can't find the page, it doesn't do us any good having great information on the page. And therefore, I highly encourage that since this is going to be a new item, if you do add it, that it be highlighted on the main page, not hidden under the board, and that it is clearly indicated when anything is updated on that page, that there is a banner or some kind of informational blast that tells people that there's new information and that new information is specifically highlighted so that we don't have to go back every single day and try and hunt and peck through everything to find out what it is. When it comes to the job description of the superintendent, I think that that's something that needs to be more readily available, and including it on this page would be excellent. It then needs to remain as a permanent page down the line. As was mentioned, it would help the superintendent to be letting people know exactly what their job is and what their limitations are. We may not all agree on what a superintendent should or shouldn't do, but we can all sing off the same sheet of music if we know exactly what that is. And when it comes to knowing who the potential candidates are, links to their CVs, obviously redacting privacy information, I would understand that is crucial. And personally, I would also like to see any affiliation and any contributions that are made by any of the potential candidates to any of the board members or anyone who has any stake in voting for, recommending, encouraging, or otherwise assisting in that individual potentially gaining that position down the line. I think it's crucial that we have complete transparency. There have been, whether they are valid allegations or not, allegations that the board have favored certain people over others because of campaign contributions or because of personal relationships and so forth. So that information needs to be clearly presented. And again, like I said, it needs to be blasted on the homepage of Lee County School District so people know that it's there. I know that we pay good money to, I believe it is the news press, to let people know about our board meetings and everything. This needs to be noticed to the community in such a public format, because not everybody would know to even come to the Lee County School Board or School District website to start with, to even know that this information was coming out without advance notice to the community. Thank you.
Christine DiVigili. I don't have much to say because those two ladies that just said every single word that I could have said for me. Complete transparency is extremely important, especially when it comes to the hiring of the superintendent for our district. I don't think that you guys can afford to leave us out of any decisions that you make from this point forward. I think that we've shown you over the last couple of weeks that we're no longer it's no longer just going to be Ms. Dye sitting in the no mask room. It's going to be a group of us, and that group is going to get larger and larger. So I think transparency, especially with this webpage is a great idea. Great idea, as long as you guys are fully transparent on it.
Thank you.
Michael Peters, quick background. Been on planning commissions with a city and a county, both previously in the state, and have been involved in politics in this state for a little over 30 years. After the most egregious infractions and Florida Sunshine Law that I've experienced in those 30 years earlier this afternoon in this building with the people who are present now, mostly, but not completely. I think making that link on your website absolutely critical, because the people want to know, the people need to know, and what went on today should not be tolerated. Consensus is a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comments, we will now call for the vote. Could, Mr. Prebruna, could you please restate the verbiage that we will be voting on?
Ms. Gittens' motion is to have a static informational public page for the superintendent search.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
7-0, motion passes. Thank you. Ms. Gittens?
And if I may have a part maybe in working with staff on getting that going, if that's all right with everybody. I had a question on student advisory. When we have the reports, do they report out when we have the reports for advisory committees? So perhaps that's something we need to consider. I mean, I know we had went around and around about their position and all that, but it's just something I just thought about, that giving them that opportunity. And I'm not quite sure what our role is. I attended the last meeting, and I was just unclear as to why I was there. So, and if that's something that we can have defined. I know it was asked that all of us attend whenever and as often as possible, but I don't, are we rotating the responsibilities or what? I wasn't sure of that, so maybe Ms. Fisher, somebody can get to me later about that. Two last things. I went, the YMCA's in the whole area had Family Day on Saturday, and since they are a very good partner of ours as well, I went to the Fort Myers YMCA, and they had all kind of activities and all, and I'm always interested in seeing where our students go after school, and we talked about their summer programs and that type of thing. Very good. And I ended up playing volleyball there. Then I went to Bonita and played pickleball. So that was my funny for today, was me playing pickleball. And it was interesting. And the last thing I want to say is this last week was Administrative Professionals Week. And so I just wanted to say publicly thank you to all of our administrative staff. Ms. Fisher provided a gift, and Ms. Jordan provided flowers for them, and then we collectively, whether you knew it, gave certificates and some gift certificates to R3 and some cookies and all for the other side. So just congratulations to all of them. And I just want to say to staff, we really do appreciate all that you do. I'm looking at you now, your eyes are, going, so are mine. But thank you. This change is not easy, and it is, but it requires everybody rolling up their sleeves and deciding which way we're going to change and what we're going to do. And we'll need everyone's input, not just the public, but also staff. So thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. Ms. Vaughn?
Okay, first I wanted to start by, and obviously the public that was here for public comment is no longer here, but maybe they're watching at home. I wanted to make a few comments about some of the things that were said this evening. Always particularly happy to see our young people talking during public comment. It takes a lot of courage to get up there and address us and the whole room. There was one young lady, I think her first name was Sierra, and she is a North Fort Myers high school student. And because we had the minute, just the minute time limit, she ran out of time. But I think I know what she was about to say, because she ran out of time. She was talking about something that another speaker had mentioned, that in looking at LGBTQ issues, 96% of the people were not involved. Well, I think she was about to take issue, so I'm going to say, and this also goes into my response to what Ms. Giovanelli said however long ago. I am one of the people that adds to that 4%. If you want to look at and say, well, LGBT community, trans and gay, and it may be, I'm not sure about the exact percentage, and it may be that percentage, but even though I am not in that community, I'm a straight white woman, I support that community. I support all their rights. I would say that there were a couple of verbiage issues in the poster that appeared in the code of conduct, and so I will go on record as saying that although I don't favor that exact poster in the code of conduct, I will go on record saying, as I was asking earlier today, what language is going to substitute if we pull that out of the booklet, which appears that's been done, and I think there were issues with the way a couple of things were written. I am expecting that our committee, our staff will come forward with the language that will substitute, and I am 100% in favor of it. That said, I really want to add truth. And I want to say one more time, as we have said over and over on this board, in a statement from the school district, we do not have unisex bathrooms in our school. We do not have locker rooms where boys and girls shower together. We provide, and this is part of the law, and it's part of our basic humanity in making accommodations for people. We provide single entry facilities for trans students. So I just want to make that perfectly clear, and I really, really hope that some of the people, and it wasn't just today, it's been in our emails, it's been other days, that say that our schools are indoctrinating children to become transsexual. We're confusing them. We're driving them, and people saying something must have been done. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. There are, I'm not going to get into a lesson on it, but really, when you come back here next time, I really hope, and we welcome you coming back. We respect religious views. I respect religious views. But please be factual. That's all I ask. On the masks, I think considering the fact that Lee County remains in, and I checked, there is a wonderful interactive map that appears every day in the New York Times, and you can look at all kinds of data, And I just actually today looked again at Lee County. We're in the second highest area. We are high risk for COVID. We have high levels of risk. We have, and this was on one of our local news channels just recently, of the surrounding counties of Collier and Charlotte and Lee, we had the lowest percentage of vaccination rates. I want to get out of this mask. We all want to get out of these masks. We want to see the children, the teachers. We want to see everybody's face. We really do. But we want to protect our kids. We want to protect our teachers and everyone. And one of the facts of life here is, and now I'm going to anger the anti-vaxxers, but oh well, we're never going to reach herd immunity without stepping up vaccinations. We're just not going to do it. So those people that are complaining, hey, that's a great way to get out of the masks. And I know that's editorial statement, and I'm going to end with a couple things on a more positive note. Okay, so on the screen, we have some pictures. These are prize-winning posters. Actually, they're from the 2019-2020, the Norm Project poster contest that's done every year. And the Norm Project poster contest just actually recently reached its deadline, and next year we'll be back on track for announcements in October. This project is sponsored, it's district-wide, it's sponsored by the United Way, and it challenges misconceptions about Lee County students by presenting them with facts. The Florida Youth Substance Abuse Survey polls a sample of our student population each and every year, and it's found that a majority of our Lee County students do not drink alcohol or do drugs. This shows that our students are making good decisions and are choosing a healthy lifestyle. So you just saw the middle school posters. Here are the winning for last year, the winning posters for our high schools. And if you look at the one, Don't Get Hooked on Drugs, you might recognize that one because Ms. Fisher brought us a folder yesterday. So that one is actually being used. And these are just, our kids do such a great job with these graphic images, including for our character education. Each month we have a winner for that. Ms. Fisher referred to the fact that last week was the celebration of Red Ribbon Week, and we partner with Coalition for a Drug-Free Southwest Florida. And since I am the liaison to that group, I said I will be happy to participate in the Zoom meetings. So we had 4 nights of Zoom meetings, at which time I read the board resolution about Red Ribbon Week and the fact that our children are making good choices. One night, we had, actually 2 nights, Al order awards for athletic excellence in an individual sport. We had 1 award for girls and 1 for boys. As a matter of fact, Mrs. Patrica's daughter was nominated, right? Mrs. Patrica, I saw you and your husband online. Patty didn't win, but it's an honor that she was chosen from her school in an individual sport. She's a swimmer. These kids have to, for this, they have to exemplify drug-free, that they're drug-free and that they support this initiative, as well as be excellent in their sport and in academics and volunteerism. We had the Sheriff's Office Service to the Nation Award on let's see, that was Wednesday night, and on Thursday night, we had the Jim Nathan Leadership Award. And finally, and I don't know if Ms. Morgan's going to mention this, I don't think Ms. Giovanelli did, Mrs. Morgan, Mrs. Giovanelli, and I were judges for the Learning for Life talent show. And I know I was extremely impressed with the talent. It was fun. It was hot, very hot, but it really was a fun afternoon. And for those of you who don't know, Learning for Life is a program that many of our schools have participants in Learning for Life program, and it makes students more confident and capable, and it provides character and career education programs. And the talent show was one of their 2 fundraisers. There's a banquet coming up next month. So those are my comments.
Thank you. And I know, Ms. Fisher, you forgot to say something or share something. I'm going to let Ms. Morgan speak.
No, I think I'll just send it in an email.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But it is regarding the poster and the code of conduct thing. And I know that staff is meeting next week to work on an alternative display of the code, of the non-discrimination policy.
Thank you. Ms. Morgan?
So in the event that anybody is still listening or watching, I do want to celebrate some of the things that were in the board agenda tonight. So expanded learning opportunities and partnerships. We are all worried about keep getting these kids back on track, ready to move on till next year. So there was an MOU expanding learning opportunities for our students through a collaborative partnership with Boys and Girls Club of Lee County. They will be operating summer programs at 2 of our school sites, James Stevens and Varsity Lakes. Another MOU expands learning opportunities for students through a collaborative partnership with Sky Family YMCA. They'll be operating summer programs at Cape Elementary, Cypress Lake Middle, Edgewood Academy, Harns Marsh Middle, and Three Oaks Middle. In addition, there were roll forward funds available from a Title I grant of $2,100,000, and that will be offering extended school year program for students from the 44 Title I K-12 schools. So those are things to celebrate. I mean, we are working hard as a district to keep people back on track, and we're getting the partnerships that make it possible for us to leverage the resources we have by sharing them with the community. I also want to celebrate, we've talked about it endlessly, but I do want to celebrate the memorandum of agreement between the Lee County School Board, United Way of the Lee, Henry Glades, Okeechobee, Florida Gulf Coast University, and Lee Health for the Community Partnership School at Franklin Park Elementary. A fantastic opportunity for this school district. For that school, we're providing the facilities, teaching, and learning staff. United Way is providing the school director, school manager, and coordinator. FGCU is providing faculty and student research and internships. Lee Health is exploring the usage of our portable unit for health and wellness initiatives for students and families. So I think we need to celebrate the fantastic things that are happening in this district this year in support of kids and communities, despite everything else that has gone on this year. I just think I want families to know that we approved the Cenegex Crisis Alert System, which is a panic alarm system that connects schools directly to law enforcement for faster response times. And this is in response to Alyssa's law. We had a great presentation by Mr. Davis and his staff, or not Mr. Davis, but Dwayne Alton. And I think, people should be aware that we have made a commitment to provide that in our schools. We approved Phase 1 pre-construction budget estimate for $2.5 million for Riverdale High School. Just great things. Pre-K programs, Bonita Springs Elementary, Tropic Isle, Sunshine, Lehigh, Colonial, they're all getting new playgrounds, replacement of materials, and improvement of sites. Let's see, I want to mention that if anybody's watching who has a 3-year-old and would like to do the early childhood program, because our 4-year-old program, which is typically oversubscribed, is undersubscribed at this point, and so in order to make certain that we maximize the usage of the spots that we have, we may drop to a three-year-old program based on ranked according to greatest need. I want to mention for any parents who are watching, any families, the ESC Parent Survey is out there. Now, my visits to the schools, Trafalgar Elementary asked that parent volunteers stop me on the way out of Trafalgar Elementary saying, can't we please get back in school as volunteers? Lee Health is allowing volunteers back in schools. So I did forward something to Dr. Adkins and Lauren Stillwell, and they're going to bring it to the COVID working group. Can we start to allow volunteers, particularly in elementary schools where there's a lot of end of school stuff going on. So we'll see about that. And then and I visited a bunch of schools too, and I'm not going to go into all of them, but I will say I did, you always learn something in these schools. It's amazing. There was a question that I would like to see addressed at some point in the future, Dr. Spiro, about iReady usage in the middle schools. There seems to be a little bit of pushback in that it doesn't work as effectively at the middle school level as it is at the elementary level. So I think it would be helpful to learn a little bit more about that. And those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. I think I'm going to continue on the celebrations as well. So I have been continuing my school visits, which have really been fabulous. I even went to, when I was visiting the villas last week, I wind up coming out of there with eggs. They have chickens there and roosters. And all of a sudden I had a child come up and they handed me these eggs. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? They go, you're supposed to eat them. I hate to say this, I didn't eat them. I gave them to someone in the office who, eggs at villas. At the villas. It's just great. The kids take care of these beautiful little ducklings, and it's just, they have a great time with this. They were really excited about it. So that was fun. That was a fun visit. But as I, go through the schools and visit, I just, thank the staff of everything that they're doing. I was able to go to Edgewood Elementary School this past week. I was invited to come by the principal. They did a cultural relevant training class by Crystal Nunez Torres, and she did a fabulous job. I can say they're not all artists because they had us drawing things and we were trying to figure out what the heck we were drawing, and just communicating, with each table. It was just really a good thing. I had the opportunity to participate in Do the Right Thing. We had 19 of our fabulous students from elementary and middle school who came here to the district, and they were presented with certificates and trophies, and they were just so proud. Their parents were very proud of them, and just, they're just amazing, and I just really enjoyed being part of them. I also, we are just ended, I was able to be a judge, and I don't know if I want to say I was a judge, but I was a judge for the 2021 Lee County Student Film and Television Awards that our communications department helps with that, and they do just a fabulous job. Last year we were not able to do it because of the COVID, so this year we were able to do that, and the kids and the filming and just everything that they do, it's pretty deep, and they were doing, some of them were like lip singing, and I was trying to listen to the music and follow their lips, and it was fun. It was a good release of anxiety just watching that. Also, and that just ended, so we'll know, who won those awards shortly. We also had our student advisory met. So our student advisory committee, we just formulated them again. They are here for our meetings, and here is actually a picture of them. These are the kids that were here at our meeting. And then if you can see behind, because we wanted to try to get everyone, so not only do we have the kids who are able to come into the building, we also have the kids who are home connect or cannot participate at this time, so they're able to come virtually and join the meeting. It was a great meeting. We had Mr. David Newland was there, and he was doing a presentation on safety and security. This right here is the new officers that were just voted in. So, and this is them being surprised. So they're having a great time. The one in the red is the, and I have to apologize because I can't remember all of their names. And anyways, they're really excited about this. They went ahead and they made sure that everybody exchanged phone numbers, and so they can text one another and keep engaged because they're all from all the different schools that we have. They will continue to participate in their next meeting. They're wanting to have some more focus groups where they will be able to sit around and have more discussion on safety and security. They asked a lot of questions, and they are concerned. And as Mr. Newland had told them, you're our eyes and ears in the schools. And so we really need you to bring back to us what is taking place. And kids are great because they will share with you. And so to me, that was just a really good thing. And as far as this is a student-driven board. So now that they have their own the election was done and they have their board, they will come up with the agenda for their meetings. They will run their meetings with the staff liaison. So she'll be there to assist them as well. As far as like the board members, I know when I'm there, I'm overactive with them because they're kids and I love being around kids. So I guess our role in that is we're there for them, whatever we can do to help them. And maybe Ms. Fisher will add some more to that of who and what we are, when we're there at those meetings. And we can, rotate as far as getting the meeting started for them. But that's why the first couple of meetings are kind of strange because we're having to get the officers into place. But I'll let you share some more information.
Yeah, okay, so I think it started out as the school board student advisory for the purpose of having the board members be able to hear what the kids have to say regarding their school day. And they identify issues of concern. They tell us what they like and what they don't like. They tell us what they need that they don't have. So over the years, they have really helped us with a lot of changes, specifically with the code of conduct and, some of our legislative priorities. And some of those kids have actually been with us for 5 or 6 years. Like Allison Burnell, the new president. Her sister was a former president, and she was not, to be left out of that race, and so she worked really hard to get on that. Their conversations are great. They really had a very positive experience when they met with Brian Mangan and the rest of the academic services staff in helping with the code of conduct development and identifying things that might be changed. And I think they were part of the drive to increase the number of levels of, discipline. So that was interesting. They're much harder on themselves than adults are. Mr. Newland will be coming back with some of the SROs for the next meeting to have some focus groups so that he can get a little bit more specific information regarding the safety and security issues. So we'll keep you posted, and we hope next year to keep this group going, with the exception of any seniors who will be leaving us, because this year was so short. But they have been a great source of information.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Also, I just want to remind everybody too, support our students summer enrichment program for the high school students, which is a 4-week program. It starts in June 28th through July 22nd, and it's going to be held at the Dunbar Community Schools. They're taking applications. The deadline for that is May 21st, and it is online for anyone. So if anybody's interested, this is a great program. We have a lot of people coming in and speaking to the kids, teaching them. They get stipends. So it's just a really great learning opportunity for all of them. So I would advise you to If anybody's interested, go online and read. All the information is on there, on the district website, and you could actually fill out your application online for that. And then just two more things. We will have a public meeting, town hall meeting for May 4th, Dr. Savage, if I'm wrong, for Franklin Park. I think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what, so it will be a public meeting for them, and that will be regarding Franklin Park. And then everybody should have received the FEFP information for the 2021-2022 school year. So the budget has been settled, and they're voting on the final version for this week. So if you want to look at what our numbers could look like, I would advise you to go on there. The link is on there for you to click on and go on. But everybody should have received that today from Ashley. And then the last thing that I want to say is that I want to send prayers out for the family of one of our children who we lost too soon in life, and I just want them to know that we're sending prayers to them. And that's my report. And Ms. Dupree Bruno?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things because we did, I heard it in public comments. I also received some emails about it. So the board workshop is for the board to have discussions, in-depth discussions about various issues, such as what they were discussing today in terms of setting processes. However, the formal action will take place when those contracts come before the board for an actual vote. So if they decide and choose their interim will have a contract, and that contract will be ratified and voted at an actual action meeting for an actual vote. Briefings are when the board is being provided with information from staff. During briefings, public comment on the agenda item only is permitted, and of course at action meetings, public comment on any item, including interim or anything that involves the district, can be had. All of the workshops, briefings, and action meetings are done in the sunshine pursuant to the statute and are properly done. They're properly noticed, and the date and the time and the location is what is required, and minutes are taken, which is what is required by the statute. So I wanted to clarify that formal votes, formal actions will take place at action meetings. The other thing I wanted to address is, based on Dr. Atkins' recommendation with regards to Board Policy 1.181, revisions will be coming to the board to make it a little bit more flexible, and that will be coming definitely prior to the new school year starting, so it will be coming to the board for an action.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Dr. Atkins?
Yes, thank you. Just one quick thing. I want to recognize our Human Resources team. They have formally submitted to the 2021 Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award application. So that's a formal submission of that application. To be able to submit an application must be approved. So even to get to this process is literally years in the making. It takes a lot of work, and the team has had to do just a lot to be able to submit this moving forward. So this is quite a recognition. We hope they're successful, but they've done a great job, and again, a nationally recognized quality award that they have submitted for. I know that they've worked real hard. Shelley Halstead, Dr. Halstead in particular, has really contributed to that effort, as has others on the team. I know Cindy, and I'm missing the other person. Shoot, who is it? But Cindy, I know Cindy McClung, and again, others on that HR team have worked really hard to make that happen. And wanted you to be aware, I'll provide more information in the board update this week so you can see the submission. Dr. Pruitt provided it to me this afternoon. I started this morning. I started reading it. It's quite a lengthy document, but you can see a lot of wonderful things that are taking place, and so it's just kind of a good thing for maybe to take a look at. Other than that, that's all for my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next schedule meetings of the board on
Madam Chair.
Monday, May 10th. There will be a school board workshop at 1 p.m. On Tuesday, May 11th, there will be a briefing at 1 p.m. and an action meeting at 6 o'clock. At this point, having no other business to come before this board and seeing no objection, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, and have a safe evening.